And welcome everyone to another OSR tabletop with myself, GM Bloodworth. And as you can see by the title, I am going to be talking about what does it mean to run an OSR game session or an OSR game in general. And the reason why I wanted to actually delve into this particular topic is because I think for far too long, perhaps, um, people have been debating over the definition of the OSR rather than focusing on, what it is to actually run a game session in the OSR way. All right, the old school way of running it. And I think that's really more important than whether or not we're disputing over or debating over what is old school role playing versus old school rules versus old school Renaissance, versus old school revival. I think that going back and forth over the definition of old school Renaissance or any of those variants is kind of unnecessary. It really has no real value in arguing over the definition rather than focusing on, well, what does it mean to actually run it this way? And so that's what I was hoping to focus on during the course of this conversation. And, and so that's where I'm going to be leaning towards. Now, if anyone wants to join in, I'm going to put the link up fairly early so that you can come in, and we're going to try to keep it on this topic as much as we can. And, we'll get right to that now. So let me just grab a hold of that link, and I am putting the link in the chat below, and you should all be able to see this now. And let me just say hellos to those that are on here. So Chthonic Musings, welcome. Ducato, as always, good to see you. RPG Grandma, hey, how's it going? I'm hoping that you're available to jump in on this conversation too. So that would be awesome because I know both you and Ducato and others as well, you're running old school. And so I'd love to see where you stand on at least my take on this particular topic. So the invite is in there. You're welcome to join. If you can't, I get it too. That's, understandable. But anyway, so I started off, and I do have a few little notes here of just ideas that I wanted to shoot out there. And I started with, it doesn't matter what the definition of old school or OSR is. That's not what I'm looking to focus on today. And I don't think it's that important. The second thing is, it doesn't matter what the design philosophy of a game system is. You can take any game system and run it the old school way. So that's another thing that, I've seen some pundits out there within the OSR space say, well, that's not really an OSR game. I've seen that applied to like Shadow Dark or, applied to more so modern games. But if you look at the games that I showed on the thumbnail, for this presentation, every one of the games that I showed on there is a modern iteration of what the OSR is. The earliest of them is Castles and Crusades, which was 2004. But the latter editions or game systems that I've shown are as 2021, 2024 or 5, whatever you want to consider Shadow Dark for. 2021 is Hyperborea, at least the third edition of it. Dragon Slayer, I think, is in the latter part of the 2020s as well. So 2021 or 2 And then others. I also put up Gangbusters BX, the advanced version of it, which just came out this year. So that's 2025, and yet I consider that to be an old school Renaissance game, and it can certainly be run old school way. So and yes, Grandma. So RPG Grandma, hey, how's it going? It's been a while. Hope everything's going well.
Everything's going well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Yeah, I've just been super busy and had some minor health things, and people don't get my schedule unless I sit down and explain it, and then their eyes bug, their jaws drop. And
Yeah,
they
yeah,
ask me things like, when do you eat, when do you sleep? you
yeah.
know so when I get overtaxed, all I've got time really for is the bare minimum and work, and nothing else gets done. It kind of sucks. So
Right.
but I'm kind of back now, starting to make content again
Well,
and
that's
stuff.
good. That's good.
I have been around. I've been kind of like watching
Yeah,
other stuff that I get.
yeah. Well, it's good to see that you're feeling better.
Yeah,
And so yeah, health things are, those are the things that take
minor,
precedence over
minor.
everything else.
Just I'm older, so I don't. My body does not function like a 20-year-old anymore.
Well, yeah, I'm right there with you. Right there with you. It's you know, it just is what it is, right? It's
Yep.
something that we have to deal with and learn how to deal with it and everything. I know I was watching a comedian, Sebastian Maniscalco, who's talking about like when he turned 51, and he was like, now I gotta sit on my bed and reach for bring my foot up so I can put my socks on, and he's like doing this thing, and I was like, wait till you're 58, 59.
Yeah,
And I
it
was
gets
like, you have to grab your pant leg to pull it up there, to get it up there to do that. So it's like, yeah, yeah, getting old is not fun. But anyway, it's great to see you, and
good to
yeah,
see you
looking
too.
forward to hearing your take on this as well. Let me just say hello to a few more. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Good to see you. My ear trumpet, thank you as always for your generosity. And Coco, you got a free membership from my ear trumpet. I'll be giving out some free memberships as well. Um, Archeo Matt, if I pronounced that correctly, welcome. I don't recognize your name, so maybe it's the first time you are here. And good to see you. And Takato is going to join us. And hey, how's it going, Takato? Always
On.
good to see you
Hey,
as well. And let's see. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you as well. And let's keep on going. Congratulations on the growth and success of your channel, Richard. Um, just got an ad that I had to skip. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I have no control over the ads. Sometimes they, you know, it's like they tell you. I mean, YouTube is YouTube, so it's like you got to put up ads, otherwise they just don't spread it. It's like they don't get it out there. Um, and yeah, Mercurius is super super generous, and I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that he keeps on spreading it around. And people, you're welcome to anybody that's a member or non-member, join my Discord. And if you want to get in on any of my gaming, you're certainly welcome to do so. I am covering, talking about old school. So I am transitioning my Castles and Crusades on Tuesday evenings over to Dragon Slayer.
hmm,
That is going to take place on January 6th. So that will be our first session of Dragon Slayer. And that really did, like, my shift over to Dragon Slayer and really doing a deep dive on that game system is what kind of brought me to doing this live stream. Is that I see so much in Dragon Slayer that makes me think, no, it's about how you're running the game. It's how you're, it doesn't matter what you're calling it, whether it's old school revival or Renaissance, or all of that is meaningless when it comes down to it. how are you running the game is what people that are looking for old school experience is going to find in the way that you're running it. So since you're in here, Grandma, what do you have to say about that?
I think it's the way you run the game. Absolutely. And how you tweak it. Um, because you can run a modern game and have it have an old school feel.
Yes.
Absolutely, because I've done it.
Mhm.
I was DMing 5e for a while,
Mhm.
and the first 5e game was the little basic box that came out. We got it on sale somewhere. I said, "Let's play the new D&D," and 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 we got a bunch of people together. Some had never role played, some had only role played old school stuff, and some had actually played 5e. So we had mix, and I ran the game just like the rule said out of the little basic box. And we got through the first scenario, and I personally wasn't happy with it. Okay, what I said, we'll do it. We're going to do it. Rules is written, right? Got to do at least one game. Rules is written to see how it vibes out. And they all wanted it changed, including the actual 5e player, because they
Mhm.
were like, you're willing to change this? I said, yeah, because I wanted feedback.
Right.
How did you guys like this? How did the new people who've never role played like? How did the people who only knew old school stuff feel about it? And I needed somebody who actually had been playing the game to get an idea, was I doing this right for the new rules,
Mhm.
and and because you want to give the game justice. I don't care. You should give a game a chance, basically. And they all wanted something grittier, harder, more challenging,
Mhm.
um, basically more heavy metal. Oh, and they wanted kung fu too. So,
Right.
so Grandma went and ripped out all the AD&D books, plopped them down, and said, "Okay, we're gonna we're gonna change stuff, and
Right.
we're gonna be making kung fu characters, right? But for 5e, and 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 that is what we did. We had a little campaign, and it was deadlier. They had to be more cautious,
Mhm.
and they were playing 5e Oriental Adventure.
Yes.
That's what we were doing,
Nice.
and and I changed a lot of things, but I made the vibe right for the group,
Right.
and they were happy. And, you know, almost always dying. They kind of kept scrapping through, but they didn't get like the rest that I normally get when I play something like Shadow Dark
Mhm.
or 5e. It went back to those, it's going to take you forever to get your hit points back. And yeah,
Right.
they wanted that. So I gave it to them. So it is about your attitude first and
Mhm.
the atmosphere that you're going to create.
Yeah.
That's what makes it feel old school. That's why Dark Shadow feels, I mean, Shadow Dark feels
Mhm.
a little old schoolish because you can die. Believe me, I've been playing Shadow Dark with some other folks online, and we die a lot,
Mhm.
mainly because everyone keeps doing stupid stuff. But that's how that game gets you. It's a quite a bit deadlier, and so it gives it that feel where
Yeah.
universe is really out to get you. You know.
Yeah. I'll let Stan jump in on this one too. So, Takato.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's how you run your system, your game. You can run it in an old school way. Now, depending on your system, it could make that easier or harder to do. Like I ran a lot of 5e, and to try to get it back to what I liked, it took some modification and ultimately leaving that system. But I definitely gave it its due diligence after a lot of time with it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and then I think too, if you have, I think I saw it in the comments. You have to have the right players that want that style of game, and some of my guys were really hesitant to switch. Like when we switched from 5e to Castles and Crusades, like my best friend was very hesitant, and now he's like the biggest supporter of it. And
Right.
I used to, I'm kind of known for being able to complain, and I did a lot of complaining about 5e before we switched, and one of the things he said to me after we played Cast Crusades for a while, he was like, you were right about all those complaints you had. And I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, I know. But
Yeah.
it was just, my experience after running a lot of it. And, but you can definitely have that tone. It's just easier if you have a system that's designed to do it. It doesn't make,
Right. Right.
you
Yeah.
can focus on other things instead of adapting. But that's just me. I started off actually before I switched to Cast Crusades. I started on a Google Doc all the things where I was going to change with 5e
Hmm.
if I was going to keep running it, and then it got to a point where I was like, I should just find a different system, and I did.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes back to my limited experience with 5e was I believe I played it about 6 different times with 3 different DMs, and the 3 times that I enjoyed it, the DMs were removing everything that, in my mind, made it 5e.
Mm.
There was no short rests. There was no,
Yep.
you
Gotta
know,
go.
like no like very complex system of the action economy and everything. You weren't getting, secondary attacks or legend, all of those different feats locking in. They just kept on changing all the things that I was like, well, isn't that what 5e is really well known for? No death saves. That was the other thing that was removed from all 3 of my positive experiences with it. They were like,
Yep.
no, we're not doing short rests. We're not doing death saves. And we're severely limiting a lot of the combinations that you could do. Because by that time, and this was like 2015-ish, maybe early 2016, and they had already figured out these are the basic combinations that I'm going to disallow because it really does break the whole system. And I started saying like doing what like Dakota was saying was I was looking it over and I was like, well, this is what I would change, this is what I would change, and I was like,
Yep.
why do all of that? I'll just shift right back over to AD&D First Edition and kind of there what I was looking for as well. So
Yeah,
I
I
can
was
definitely
I was
see.
pulling from original stuff from chainmail, man. I was
Right.
thinking
Yeah,
it hard.
it's like, and really it goes back to something that Gary Gygax said way back, in the 80s, early 80s, when he said, and it's in the DMG, of AT&T First Edition, you know, that sure you can change things, but at a certain point, you're not going to be playing the same game. You know what I was saying? You're going to be doing something different, and that's fine. You can go, you can create whatever you want to and run it however is going to keep your table happy. But don't call it Dungeons and Dragons anymore. Call it, it's whatever you just made of it. And that's another thing that I was going to, point out here is that, I said that this means that any game system can be run the OSR way, focus on, the various, features and everything. But I said the foundation of it is that you're going to take whatever rule system that you're using and you're going to make it your own, and it's going to become its own thing. And you can still do that in an old school way by focusing on the things that I think the old school really hammered, down, that became pillars of the old school, and some of those things I still look back on and I'm like, if you're making the adventure gear really, really important to actually think about before you go dungeoneering before you go delving into whatever. That's an old school, thought pattern. I mean, we would have never dreamed in 1978 to go into a dungeon without a 10-foot pole, without iron
Correct.
spikes, without 50 feet of rope or whatnot. And it was just a mentality that we had, in that, no, you have to have the gear that you need in order to survive going through, because survival wasn't guaranteed in old school. And
No,
I'm
no,
glad that these modern iterations of it, it's not guaranteed either. Like you mentioned, RPG Grandma, that Shadow Dark is a pretty dangerous system if you're not
African lions,
managing yourself.
man, they will get you in Shadow Dark.
Yeah. Yeah, don't go with enough torches and you're pretty much doomed. You are doomed.
We were able to display for anybody watching why the Lion's Den might have magical items in it, because the dead characters got drug in there and eaten.
Yeah, yeah. So let me get to some of the comments here. I know someone had never heard of, I guess, the newest edition of Gangbusters. So I'll show it to you real quick. So this just came out this year. All right,
Nice.
and this is Gangbusters. It's the new rules by Mark Hunt. He did the original Gangbusters, the first the BX edition of Gangbusters. But this one now is put out by Wizard Tower Games. All right, so previously he published it himself, and now they're publishing it, and it's a lot of fun. I'm running that on Thursday mornings, and we're having a great time. We're running a criminal campaign, which I've never done before with it. So it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. They're trying to build their own little family, and building up the structures for what their family is, their organized crime is going to be. So
Piece of the action, huh?
yeah, they're building up slow and everything. They had a few missteps in the beginning, and again, that's a very old school thing, right? It's like, no, you're not always going to be successful. You're going to struggle, especially at they're still first level, and they've been running now for 4 weeks now, and that's the other thing that's very old school, is that character progression is more so in the role-playing aspect of it, and in your portrayal as your character a lot faster happens than your leveling. And the leveling is less important in old school when you're focusing on other things that other than just, well, how much gold am I collecting, how much XP am I gaining, how much, what is my advancement in my character's power leveling. When old school, especially like BECME or D&D basic and whatnot, it was slow. AD&D first edition is slow unless you're showering them with a lot of magic items and whatnot.
That's something people don't understand. They're like, well, they're getting all this stuff. That's like Gonzo, and it's like, well, but it takes them longer to level up, so they need. It's all about gear management.
Yeah,
have gear available in the game. That is the life preserver.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. And a lot of things, they're one time use. You use it, it's done. In older stuff, there's some things that you can use over and over again, but you can mitigate that as the DM, what you're putting in, how it's going to work, how long it's going to work, stuff like that. So they don't end up with a treasury full of magic.
Right. Unless you're playing for Gary Gygax's table, because he used to give them tons and tons of magic items. It was like the Monty Hall of magic items, but he strictly held to the cost of leveling up. Yeah, and I
Right.
know his son, Ernie was saying that at like 12th level or something, he had to sell virtually every single magic item he had just to get the gold in order to advance to 13th level or
Right, and
whatever.
that's something
Because
people forget, that there's more than just getting the experience points.
yeah,
There's so they forget about all these other little things, and when you put it all together, it slows down your leveling up considerably.
yeah,
Um, and 5e, it goes pretty fast. That was one of the things I did. I put, well, you're all going to need to earn some extra zeros.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's the flow of milestone.
Yeah.
Milestone leveling. It's like, well, if you do this task, then you automatically go up a level, and it's designed that way. Especially with the basic sets and everything, it's like, oh no, you'll be level 6 at the end of, you know, 5 sessions. I was like, that's insane. That's insanely fast.
Right. It is pretty fast. Yeah.
Yeah,
In that game, and I made some other I made a lot of changes. I did a lot of
yeah.
crazy things. I think it's quite possible I have not seen the new version.
Mm.
I've only kind of watched people's take on it. I'm just like, I'm not going to buy that right now. No, Um, but I have other cool stuff I want, and uh, there was one with, if I understand, because I was on their little board for a while and I was helping people with some stuff, because that's me. I help people under a different name, by the way. So
Mm.
before everything went too crazy over at WotC, but and I left. One of the things I was telling people to do may have actually made it into the new rules, but not sure. I would have to go get the rule books and look. But
Right.
it suspiciously sounds like it, which that's okay. I don't care. But if it does, cool. But yeah, yeah, you go slower. The character ages. They percolate like fine wine. They go
Yeah.
from grape juice to, if they survive, a cool vintage when they get high enough. I don't know. I don't know why people don't understand it's a lot of gear orientated. That's part of it. You're going in to get
Excuse me.
money for training and and
Only
and,
one.
and living, and you're going in there to get gear. Uh, to bring back stuff that you're going to use and going to continue to use until it doesn't work anymore. And I don't know. People don't seem to get that about the old system. Is
Uh,
Dragon Slayer new?
uh, it's uh, it's fairly new. It's
Yeah,
let me see. I don't know if this is just the. Is it 2021? Let me
Yeah, it's
let
been
me.
out for a couple of years, I think.
yeah. I think it's been
Um,
a couple. Yeah.
well, this one's 2024. Um, maybe it's 2024. So it's fairly new. You know, so 2024. It's fairly new,
Oh, well,
and yeah, it really is. I'm really like enjoying just reading the system and seeing what it does that's differently, and talk about slower advancement, and that there's no XP for magic
yeah,
items at
none
all.
for magic
There's
items.
no gold value on magic items, and there's no XP. And the way that that's going to change the dynamic of magic in your game system, is that, well, hey, how do you gain experience points then? It's like you gain experience points by doing. You know what I'm saying? Not just by
Oh,
collecting, but by doing things.
you
So
mean that old school rule of doing stuff?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually have to do stuff. And then I was looking and I was like, well, I don't want the doing just to be combat. I want the doing to be like, if you go into a room, and the system is kind of built on that. And even though it doesn't explicitly say to give experience points for doing exploration, it's like, no, if you go into a room and you're spending a turn or more, in that room, uh, and you're doing various things like, the thief is checking the door for traps, and the magic user is going through these books that are on the shelf, and looking for any kind of materials or content or something there. And the elf is walking around the room searching for secret doors and everything. They're all doing something during that time. Then they're going to gain experience points from the doing. And then if they return to that room, obviously they're not going to get experience points again for going into the same room again. But I was like, yeah, so you're kind of rewarding them, not just to walk through a room, but to at least do somewhat of a look around and see what you can do in that space. And for me, as the game master writing these adventures for them, it encourages me to make every room there's something interesting in there, and to me that's a very old school way of doing it. Like, make everything that they're doing have consequence to it, have importance to it, and hit those three pillars of combat, exploration, and interaction. And that interaction isn't just chatting in the tavern. That interaction is in interacting with the world that's around them, including a dungeon room. That's an interaction that I think is important for them to do.
No, no, and like old Arduin was one of the first ones that had like the list of stuff
Mhm.
that PCs could earn experience for besides killing something or getting treasure,
Right.
and you even got experience points for dying. So if you died and they managed to bring you back,
Mhm.
then you got experience points for going through that.
Yeah.
But because the premise that your character should be doing stuff, and they should be doing stuff relevant to whatever the concept of your character, uh that's really important, because you're going to get out of the players what they get rewarded for. So if they
Yeah.
only get rewarded for being mass murdering murder hobos,
Mm.
that's all you're going to get out of your players.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like people complain about that, and it's like, well, what's the consequence in your
Yeah.
game for killing everything? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, you
Yeah.
know.
If you're the game master complaining about your players being murder hobos, you kind of built that in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
You need to
encouraged
take
it.
this. You need to take the candy away. Take the candy
Yeah.
away from the babies. they can't. They can't just go around, murdering everything and getting experience points for that. Especially if their archetypes aren't that. And I'm not anti milestone either. But you have to earn milestone things. You should be doing significant things and doing, the interactions. Combat's important, but it's not the only thing. And sometimes it's not even a goal of an adventure. Sometimes you really do need to avoid combat. Run away is a valid thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Those stupid lions. Shadow heard me about the lions. The resistance to him. Yeah, we have a whole running joke over in the Shadow Dark game about the lions.
Yeah.
They're our
Yeah.
nemesis. But yeah, uh, you get what you reward for,
Yeah.
and know your carrots.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to mention is, and I just told my players this, by the way, Shadow and Son is one of my players, and he was one of the first ones that I told, oh, by the way, make a backup character. Before we even had the first session, I was like, have a backup ready to go. All right. Because looking at Dragon Slayer, it's like, oh no, you go to negative and you fail your death save. your character's dead, and negative is as low as -1, so you go to -1, your character is certainly possibility of them dying. And so and it's about, like you said, I think earlier to RPG Grandma, is it's setting the tone. When you tell your players before the very first session, oh, by the way, make his backup character.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I
Two or three
know
ready.
where this could go. Yeah, just be ready for it, because it's certainly going to happen. And you do the same thing in like convention play with Shadow Dark. It's like, oh well, here's 12 pre-generated characters. I know there's only 6 of you, but be prepared.
You may need them.
You
Yeah,
may
you may
need
need them.
them. Yeah, it certainly is something that's likely to happen. And Takata was
Yeah, we
playing
had
two
some.
of my Shadow Dark games as well in
Yeah,
convention. So although
yeah.
he wasn't,
Home game. I played it for a bit. Lost the character. And,
yeah,
Dragon Slayer we played last summer for like about 8 sessions. Part of
yeah,
the Highfell adventure my son ran. We lost a couple characters in that too.
yeah,
So it was a good game. It was fun. But it is unforgiving if you are not smart
Yeah.
about things.
Now, see, there's a rule that, gosh, Venger, yeah, Venger sent Satanus.
yeah,
Yeah, he does like Crimson Dragon, those things. He
yes,
has escalating crit.
yes, yeah.
That's fun.
That's a really brutal system. If but it's also an advantage to you too, because
Yeah.
you're
Monsters
getting the
get
advantage. I don't know if Takato, you're familiar with that, but it's like
escalating crit.
Nope.
in the first round of any combat, you crit on a natural 20. In the second round, and that's everybody, right? Everybody crits on a natural 20. In the second round, it's a 19 or 20. In the third round, it's a
It keeps going
17,
down.
and it progressively goes until the 10th round, when it's like anything above an 11 or 11 or higher is a crit, and you're dealing out
Wow.
double damage and everything, and then it resets. And I was like, how many? I asked Venger, I was like, wow, how many combats have ever gone that long? He says, no, they're usually over by like like the 5th round or something, because
Sure.
it's flying all over the place.
Yeah,
So I
rocking
was
those
like, yeah,
crits.
that's what I kind of figured. But yeah, it's an awesome system. It really does keep things rolling really, really fast.
Well, that's kind of the nice thing about my experience with the OSR games, like Cast Crusades, any of them, Dragon Slayer, is that it is fast, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't take a lot of time to adjudicate your actions. You don't have a
Right.
laundry list of what the character can do, and you have players that get analysis paralysis and they can't figure out what they want to do, and not with those old. They just bang, 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 go, 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 which is really good because it keeps it flowing.
Yeah, you want that.
And
You want that action. You want it to keep moving.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm certainly have played plenty of role playing games where we're slogging through the combat,
yep,
but that's usually because the system has evolved, and every time they put out a new edition, they added more hit points to the monsters. And it's
yep,
like, stop, just stop. You don't need to do that. Stop, because it's all proportional. They gave the players too much whatever, so then they have to
mhm.
make the monsters heavier. But now we got to roll dice forever, when it would just be better if everybody just went back down.
yeah. If you look at a game like Dragonbane, for example,
Mhm.
um, very low hit points. In Dragonbane for character, your Constitution score is your hit points. Now there's a way to get more, but it's very incremental. Like you can get a heroic ability that'll give you 2 more, right? So you're not getting a lot. When you
Right.
level up your character, there's no levels. It's a skill-based system. But when you
Yeah, that's I
level up
borrowed
your
from.
character, it you can take that. I mean, you have to get a heroic ability, which doesn't happen every time.
Yeah, that was
So
one of the
it's
things
and the
I
monsters aren't. They don't have a lot. I mean, some of them have a fair amount of hit points, but
Mhm.
it's still compared to like a D&D or even some of the OSR games, not nearly as much. And everything hits hard. Everything.
right.
Yeah,
I
One of my fixes for 5e was capping the hit points. And
yeah.
people are like, that's terrible. I think, no, it's not.
Yeah, I
Actually,
did that
Yeah.
too. I
speaking
did
of
that
that,
too.
Gangbusters BX has an optional rule of Constitution equals hit points.
Yeah, yeah.
And it
I've
never
got
goes
some
up from
games
there.
like that.
And
Yeah.
it's like, you know what? I use it. I was like, you know what? That's and it makes a lot of sense because, you know, how many shotgun shells are you going to survive? You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like,
And I'm
Yeah.
okay
no,
with
one can
Not a
take you
lot.
that
out.
too.
If you,
Yep.
So, like, if I know the version of the game I'm playing is like particularly deadly, yeah, you're all going to have your hit points front loaded, which means whatever your max hit points your player character could ever have naturally, that's the key.
Mhm.
They're going to start with.
Yeah,
They're not going to be able to get more,
yeah,
but it then the level's less important of the player as far as survivability in that in
mhm,
sense, but their skill levels and what they can do for the situation becomes more important.
right,
So, I mean, I've done it. It's another thing I borrowed from Arduin and Gamma World, but it works, especially if you're going to make that really really deadly scenario. Then too, if they die, that the player character dies, and everybody else is like way more advanced skill wise, the incoming character, at least stamina wise, hit point wise, can survive.
yeah.
Why they gain skills, whatever system the game is. Uh, like you got to know your, like I said, you got to kind of fiddle with the dials.
Yeah. I was just going to mention Daddy Stabs here. Welcome, first of all. Another new name I've not seen before. Draw Scale has been fun, which is weird because it's not the typical style I like to run or play. Um, yeah, I'm not familiar with the system at all. I know it's the one that Matt Colville put out, um, and he's at least reputed to be a fairly decent game designer. So, but I don't know how much of you know, I don't see it described as OSR in any way. So I don't think it's, it's an old school game. I really don't know enough about the system to say. I didn't bother looking at or purchasing purchasing the beta PDFs of it or whatever. It was like a charged play testing thing with it, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to spend you know 30 or 40 bucks on the game as you're working on it.
Yeah, we got budgets, guys. I
Yeah,
don't know about the
Right.
rest of you. I got a budget.
yeah. So I was like, no, but it's good to see that some people are actually having fun with it.
That's great.
Um, yeah, Dragon Bane is fun as well. I haven't run it yet, and actually, I switched. We were going to run Dragon Bane, and then I was like, you know what? I think that I'm not familiar enough with that system just yet, and Dragon Slayer just captured my imagination to start a new
Did
campaign with that. So
you
we'll
did
give
start a
that
new
up for a
campaign,
while.
Rich?
Say again.
Did you start a new campaign or
We're going to on January 6th, so Tuesday night. So we're going to
for
start
Drag?
on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time, or we usually start around 8:30,
Yep.
8:30 Eastern time. So if you can make it, Takano, I'd love to have you in.
Yeah. Tuesday, I'm booked, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a
And
great
if you're
system.
open on Thursdays, Thursday evenings, I just started my Hyperborea third edition, and we have room in
Oh,
there
nice.
too.
Nice.
Nice.
And then I have my gangbusters at Thursday mornings. Well, you're retired now, so you should be able to fit in that one.
You would think so.
That's not
You
how
would
it
think so.
works. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
I
I'm
have a
I
Thursday
retired,
chose
night
but I'm
I
group
chose
I
observant.
play
Thursday
with.
mornings because my wife is at work. In
Yeah,
the
smart.
morning she's at the school, and so I'm like, hey, I can get a third game a week going if
Yeah.
she's not around for it to bother her that I'm up and running a game.
Right.
So it's not hidden from her, but it doesn't interfere with anything that she's looking to do. Let's see what else we have here. So saying, Dragon Maid made me feel like I was playing Redbox or low-level AD&D again. Plus, the GM said it in Greyhawk, which was cool.
Oh well, that helps.
Yeah.
Like, setting's important because
Yeah,
setting
that's a great
the
game.
vibe.
Yeah, I passed on the Conan, the Hyborian Age one, which was the most recent one put out by it was put out by, I think it's put out by Heroic Adventures though. So they actually they currently own the IP. But I feel somewhat burnt by the fact that, Modifius, and I loved their Conan 2D20 system. And I started seeing that, some of these, famous IP game systems, I'm reluctant to jump in on them because those IPs change hands so quickly, and then it's like, all right, we're no longer supporting this thing. It's why I've heard like the Star Trek Second Edition is apparently a very much improved version of the first one for Modifius, and I'm like, I'm not going to pick up that game system because Modifius could lose that license like they did Conan by next year, and now I've invested into this, and it's done, so I avoid some of those IPs that I would generally always pick up now because of that fact.
Makes sense. Yeah, the Star Trek stuff I have around here is from the FASA days.
Yeah, I have that too. I have the box set, the
little bit.
FASA box set,
Much of
but
it's left, but I've got a little bit floating around.
yeah. Yeah, I would love to run a Star Trek. What I didn't like about the Star Trek, the first edition of Modifius was that you were kind of pigeonholed. You had to run you had to be a Federation officer, and it wasn't open space enough. It wasn't, you couldn't do whatever you wanted to.
Can it
I
be a
was
Klingon? No.
No, not
Even
initially.
FASA
No,
lets you be a
I wanted
Klingon.
to be an Orion pirate. I was like,
Orion pirates were awesome.
but there was no opportunity for it.
Oh.
So, again, it's like, now could you take that and run that and do that, all of that? But you'd have to do so much work in order to do that. And it's like, again, like, when some people, mention hey, you can do anything with any system. And then others said the exact opposite. They said, well, the system really does drive whether you can do that. And I know Ducato had mentioned something similar too. It's like, you can alter any system to do it, but how much work you're going to put into it.
Yeah, it's
and I kind of see that, that point where, you can run any system like an old school way to a certain extent, let's say. So I will amend one of my, points was that, oh, you can run anything. I was probably wrong in thinking that you could run anything that way. Some things might take too much modifying in order to get it there.
That might not wholly, like, the modification might not be wholly a negative. It just depends on you, right? Like, I don't like to spend time on that stuff. Like, I have chats with my guys about, oh, I'd like to run this game, and they're like, oh, we could do it in CNC, and I'm like, yeah, but I have a game right here that actually does it. So, like, I don't want to spend time converting all that stuff.
right.
I'll just run that game, like,
And it
you know.
really depends
But
too
some
on,
people like to do that. I don't.
if you have players who want to understand the rules of a system, you can't just change everything. That's not
Right.
going to work. If you have players who just don't care, and
Right.
because there's another, we have a little play group and we play various games. It's not always role play games, but we do a bunch of stuff. And there is another DM, and he does old school stuff, and he's harsh even when he's using AD&D rules. 0, you're dead. There is no.
That's what OSC does.
Yeah.
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 But when I show up to that and I have something that I've blown the dust off of, got something different, because I'm the one who brings in the different stuff. Yeah, usually my pitch is, it's lethal and will probably kill at least half of you, if not all of you. Everyone's like, yay, so I've got a group of people who are okay with that, and they're okay not knowing every little rule.
Mhm.
But I could have a totally different type of group of folks playing, and then that really does change whether you have to adhere to the rules as written, because I've had those tables too as well. They don't like going outside of the rule book, or changing things too much. Their heads explode, and and so you've got to know who your players are, how
Right.
much tweaking you can do or not do, and that is a real issue, that people need to keep in mind. And then if you are going to try to make a modern system feel grittier, then you're going to have to go about it a different way than you
Mhm.
would with old school rules.
Right.
Going to have to figure out how to tweak the game without tweaking the game. If that
Yeah.
makes
No, yeah, you can change the tone
yeah,
without changing the rules.
you're right.
Um, you know, yeah, so as long as you're changing the tone, I mean, it could start off right off the bat by, and I'll get to Archaeo's Matt's, point here. Um, you could just make resource management matter. That's not really changing the rules that much at all. If anything, it's like, um, I don't know where gamers got to the point where they don't keep track of like ammunition. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know when
like,
that happened
you know what
either.
I'm saying?
It
Yeah, I
happened.
don't know when that happened, but it's like,
Magic
no,
bullets.
you know, you have a quiver. It holds 20 arrows. Guess what? You're going to shoot 20 arrows. Now, maybe you can recover, half of those, or have a chance of recovering some of them. I've seen various dice rolls that you could use,
Have you ever tried
on
looking
a,
for an arrow?
huh?
Have you ever tried looking for an arrow
Yeah,
way
yeah.
far
It's
away?
like, or recovering one, and that's the reason why target arrows have no points on, like they just have the smooth point on them.
Yeah, that's
It's
still
like
tough.
otherwise you won't be able to retrieve it out of
Yeah.
something
Oh yeah.
that it actually penetrated. Usually the shaft will break anyway if you hit anything significant. But anyway, it's like, to get to his question there, or point, is that the resource management is something that feels lost to him. um, well, that's where henchmen came in too. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's like, and I had one case, and I forget if Shadow was with the group or not at that point, but they ended up liberating a copper mine from a dragon, right? And it was a copper dragon, that was originally in there, and then the copper dragon was killed, and they secured this mine, and it's like, oh well, you found 2,000 pounds of copper, that can be brought back to town, and they were like, well, they have the wherewithal, like, how are we going to bring it back? I was like, well, that's where you have henchmen, and you bring up carts to these, to this place, and you kind of set it up, and then you hire a bunch of people to start working that mine, and that becomes a source of income for you, so that you can hire more henchmen to start doing that. We're already starting to do domain play,
Right.
at fourth level, because now it's like, now you're starting to think outside of, well, I'm just an adventurer, I need to be more than that. And that really comes from the old school. The old school was very reliant on henchmen, for those kinds of things, so you didn't have to overly focus on, well, I'm down to my last arrow.
Yeah.
um
Hirelings,
yeah.
henchmen, followers, all
Yes.
that stuff's super important. Though I think our shadow group keeps getting all our people killed, but we're
Mm.
trying. They're lasting
I
longer.
don't know
Um,
if you're aware, Rich, for your Dragon Slayer campaign, Gillespie has a website that's basically like one-click hirelings,
Mhm.
called Meat Shields. We used it quite a bit, and it was a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Yes,
And
I'll definitely look into that as well. I'll
Yeah.
have
If
them.
they wanted to hire somebody, it was like they give you a name and
Mhm.
what they are, and a little bit of like a snippet of personality, which was always fun because
Oh,
you
that's
could play
cool.
into that. Yeah, and it's simple. It's like literally one line of
Mhm.
text, depending on how much you spend and all that stuff. It was like really simple, but you could do it right at the table if you needed one. You don't even
nice.
have to do anything in advance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I have the two Castles and Crusades because they have those NPC
Yeah.
sketches and everything, and you can generate a character with one die roll and
Yep.
pull from both
Yeah, I
books,
have
and
those.
you'll have personality, stats, whatever, basic stats, and name, everything, and bang, there you go. And literally, you can just take one roll to produce
I
it.
even have the old AD&D Rogues Gallery that they
Yes,
Oh
put
yeah,
out.
Rogues Gallery.
yeah.
Yeah, that thing's
She's gonna
awesome.
grab it. Oh, I thought you were grabbing it. No, yeah, I got that right
No, I
here.
don't have
I
it. I
just
don't have
happen
it.
to
Mine's
have
behind
that
me on the shelf.
within hand's reach.
Don't start
Yeah.
making
I was like,
NPCs.
I'm very, very impressed that you
I
had that
don't have
just at
that
the ready.
handy. I
Yeah,
have
that's
a
a
different game over here. I have actually two different games over here. But uh, yeah, that stuff's important. Yeah, people. It's maybe it's because they're not making those kind of movies anymore. But the old movies where they go on an expedition somewhere, I don't know, climb Everest, go across the Sahara desert, go on the safari hunt, whatever.
Right.
There was
yeah.
always a whole support team with the main characters. Now the support team might not have gotten too much press, but those 20 guys carrying stuff,
Mhm. Yeah.
Very
you
important.
need them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the older games or the OSR games, a lot of them have like strict encumbrance rules.
Yeah.
Some of them are a little convoluted, but like Dragonbane is pretty simple. It's based off your strength score. You have a number of slots,
Right.
and Shadow Dark, very similar,
Yep.
that you can fill. So, yeah, I know when we played Shadow Dark in my Friday night group, we ended up hiring somebody, just some big burly woman that could carry a lot of stuff. That was her only job, like
You're a
just carry
mule. You
stuff.
have one job. You're the
Yeah.
mule.
You don't have to fight. You don't have to do anything. You just need to carry our stuff because we can
Carry
only carry
But you
so
stuff,
have
much.
to keep her. You have to keep her
guides.
alive. That's
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
key.
yeah,
Is you
we'd
got to keep
protect
her
her and
alive.
stuff,
Do you
but
know how to get to Snowy Mountain? You know how to
Oh,
get up it
let's
once you
see.
get there.
And
It's everyone's like, well, we got a map. It's like, yeah, but
oh,
would you go climb Everest without a guide? The answer is no.
hmm.
So local guides and the economy for that stuff, that should be a thing, even if the guides don't know what they're doing.
hey, Paul, how's it going?
It's going good. No,
Did
I
you make
think
that subtitle just for this this one? No more BX
no,
clones.
no, I think that I was on DM James's channel a couple times. And it was just it's kind of become like my moniker because I'm sick of BX clones. They're just it's lazy, and the OSR doesn't need enough as much content. I don't think it just needs all that dross just kind of stuffed in it. It's if you have a cool idea and you have a cool system, make it. Don't make it a BX clone though. You can do better. Use your imagination. It doesn't have to be.
Mm.
Oh, it's a D20 system with 6 stats. You don't say. If it's a fantasy one, even.
So
Ooh,
you mean it's D&D?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I
Um,
make people mad all the time. I'm like, so we're
No,
playing
but I
D&D.
think Ducato is definitely onto something here. The systems now with all where encumbrance is split by like you have only this many slots to work with. I think the small numbers are kind of the way to bring that back
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
any of the systems where it's like, well, you have like 300 pounds and everything, and things can weigh 0.2 pounds. It's like you've lost people already. That amount of
Yeah.
math.
You, me, instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We're not stupid people. It's just the people that played the originals of these must have been like physicists or whatever. Because the amount of math that takes, it's like, that's just not fun.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
No,
you know,
no.
like I think Mouse Ritter was like that when I first played it. Like every item has a little chit and you put it in your inventory and you only have you have like 2 hand slots. So it's like if it's in a hand slot that hand has to hold that item, but you only have a
Yeah.
limited inventory to plug them into. So it's like, Okay, I can understand my dimensional perception can understand this, but when
Well-
Yeah, simple.
even when I was buying equipment for the Hyperborea game, I was like, how much does a candle weigh? Oh crap, I'm sitting here. All right,
Yeah, when
3
you have to
candles
start
is
worrying
one.
about the weight of a candle, it's like
Right. Yeah,
that's,
oh,
it's
Yeah,
a little
well,
bit
I
too
admit back in the
it's a little
day there
bit
was
too
some
crunchy.
stuff that people just
Yeah,
didn't worry
those are some
about.
tight
Like,
margins
oh,
if
no,
you're
because grandma
fretting
likes
that candle
a
weight.
stick of chalk weighs, okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Hey,
pieces
Mark,
of chalk
welcome.
and all that.
So we have Mark Hunt. I was just talking about it, so Mark, the DM rolls the stats like it reads in OD&D and then helps the player pick a class.
That's not gonna
That's an
work for some
interesting
people.
thing like that. That's
You can do it.
yeah, you could certainly do that, and there's so many systems have multiple ways of rolling up the attributes of the characters as is, and for those that are for those modern players that are scared off by the idea of, well, I'm going to roll my stats and then see what class I can play. I know a lot of them feel like, oh, that doesn't let me play the character I want, but but there's something that I've experienced that of you play the character that you get, kind of thing. You make it your own. That's why when I go to a convention and if they're handing out pre-gens, I take the first character that's handed to me. I don't even look at it, ahead of time. I don't go through the whole pile and everything. You handed me the one on top. That's the character I'm going to play.
Well, see, but you're a DM. See, I do think that makes a difference. When you have players who have only ever been players and they have not done multiple roles, they've only done the role they want to play.
Mm-hmm.
They are very, very uncomfortable taking just anything.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. That I think that does play into the psychology of it, which is why she should always encourage everybody to at least dungeon master, referee, judge, whatever you want to call it, one time. One time. You can help them. One time. So they get a different perspective, for one thing. But also, they might learn that they're okay playing and having a lot of fun playing less than optimum characters. So some of the NPCs are always going to be less than optimum. And then that opens them up to the idea of playing whatever,
Right.
whatever you're handing me. But you always are also going to always have players that want to have the most powerful guy in the universe as they perceive that, the best. They have an idea, they want that idea, and they are never going to be okay with being pigeonholed by a game into what they have to play.
Yeah. Um, I just saw a little glitch in my system. For some reason, not XSplit, for some reason, Restream has been messing with me. I thought it was because I had to do a Windows update and it wasn't compatible with XSplit, but I'm not using XSplit now, and yet it keeps on doing something with it. So weird. But anyway, yeah, if you see my screen shut down, I'm still here. So I don't know why it does that. It's just recently been doing that. Let's see. So let's see. Oh, wow. It really set me back far. That little bubble. All right. Let's see. Of course, you have to agree with RPG Grandma.
No, no one has to agree with me. Guys can tell me to pound sand.
So my Hyperborea books are favorite of my collection, and I have only run it once. Yeah, I mean, I'm we just started my Thursday night campaign, and they're it's just 3 players, and it's like, what, it's like letting them just take it and go out into the city and just make their own way, without anything really planned on, exactly what they're going to do during the session. Has been, a lot of fun that first session. Now, we got about like 2 hours, roughly 2 hours into that first session. And then they were like, well, we're going to go do this thing now. And it's like, all right, well, it was already late. It was almost, 10:30, and I had work the next morning. So I was like, you know what, we're going to hold it off here and pick up where we left off. That way I could do a little bit of thinking about, all right, they're going into a new direction that I wasn't quite expecting. And so that way we can do that. And that's the other thing that I think is more of an old school way of gaming, is that, you're not so much tied to following an adventure module in a sense. I know like AD&D First Edition was built around modules and everything, but I don't know anybody who ever ran those things straight up. You know what I'm saying?
They always got changed.
Yeah, it's like I don't know anybody that ran those things straight up. It was like, yeah, if you did, you'd have total party kills everywhere. Which you still had some, but it was like you really couldn't do those, and they didn't always fit in to you had to drop them into your campaigns in certain ways that just weren't aligned exactly with the way that the adventures were written either. So there was a lot of homebrewing adventures to fit your campaigns because go ahead.
What you're saying is correct. Everybody changed things because they had to.
Yeah.
But also the style of play that everybody's running around saying this is the way it was done, this is the way it was done, this whichever way. And I'm like, I even went and asked other people I know who are old DM. I said, do you remember people really doing this? Because I don't remember people really doing this. Maybe it was just my area, but if we needed to pause the game because, hey, we all got to go home now, see you next weekend. Yeah, if we just pause, and pause the game. And it was in our last episode, the adventure
Yeah.
stuck in the dungeon. We did not go back to home base per se.
Right. Yeah.
Do that
No. You're talking about one-for-one timing, and nobody did that back then. Nobody did one-to-one timing.
For the one-for-one timing, sure, but then there's other times it just doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't hurt your head over it. And sometimes you even need to speed up the time.
Yeah.
For various reasons. And some modules, I've got one. It's adventure. It's not really called an adventure. It's not really called a module. I forget what they call it, but it was like the first thing that was ever put out for somebody to buy. I've read through it. I have not actually, I've only adapted it. I did adapt it to 5e, my version of 5e, but the first level. But I read through this thing very carefully. It's only 3 levels. It's absolutely crazy, insane. Stick rooms in every little inch of the paper. But you cannot run that adventure and keep going back, keep leaving. If you keep leaving, you absolutely, it does have critical failure. You critically fail. Your group will fail. Period. In a discussion, because you won't have achieved the mission. So you're going in and you're staying in either until you're all killed, or you have to just run away and give up and critical failure on that end, mission not achieved, or you actually achieve what you're supposed to achieve and get out.
Yeah.
So and the second adventure those people wrote, they put a town in the middle of the dungeon that you can use as a home base. So there, and these are early game people. So
right.
When I'm looking at these early adventures that were published, I'm like, these people weren't thinking about going back to home. They had players who were going in and staying in, which is what I experienced when I was playing. You either died, you successfully escaped, or you were down there a long time doing stuff. And you had to get resources from the environment some way, somehow. or bring enough in with you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's something I was thinking about, like for, because, Greg Gillespie talks about in Dragon Slayer, he talks about, well, there's one-to-one timing when you're in the dungeon, and you're going to keep track of not real time, like a real timer, like you have with the torch mechanic in Shadow Dark,
Yeah.
but each room they're going to spend about a turn, and every fifth turn they have to light a new torch. Every other turn there's a random encounter that could take place, because dungeons aren't vacant lots.
Right, they're living
they're
environment.
oftentimes the home of the lair of something. And you can't walk in my house for 20 minutes and not encounter something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's got to be the same way treated in a dungeon. A dungeon is supposed to feel like it's a living space. Not unless you're cracking open a crypt that hasn't seen, sunlight in 1,000 years, kind of thing. And even then, you'll probably come across things that are, little critters have found their way in there anyway, so it's that's where the one-to-one timing comes into play with like a game like Dragon Slayer was like, no, and that gets back to resource management.
Yep.
You're managing your time as a resource as well.
Correct. Absolutely. Your time, your food, your water.
Yeah.
Obviously your whatever your hit points, stamina, that stuff, your health, and all that's connected. And then anything else you need, light. Um, did you cut up your 50-foot rope and now you're out of 50 50-foot rope? Did you lose half your supplies down the chasm there? All that stuff matters.
Yeah.
And I and being able not to see in the dark,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is key for a dungeon or any place that's dark to be scary.
Yeah.
When it's like, hey, no, you're not just at disadvantage, because that's the modern mechanic to get that torch relit or find something because your lights went out. You're like, you've got a very, very small percentage chance.
Yeah.
And everything else can see in the dark.
Yeah.
Or the rules like the doors automatically lock behind you. If you don't do something about it. So all those kinds of rules help create the tension that you want. So when people tell me games like Dungeons and Dragons aren't scary, I'm like, then you're doing something wrong. Because if you're in a cave system and you have no light, that should be terrifying.
Yeah.
Whether it's man-made mines or a cave. And if you ever have a chance to go on like a cave tour or better yet, a mine tour, go on a mine tour, because they'll get you way down there, miles under the mountain. And you realize as you're down there, it is a unique feeling, and it gives you a better way to describe stuff to the players. Take the players with you. That's even better.
Yeah.
And there's a point where they have you in the safe room, and that's in case everything collapses, and they shut all the lights off. At least they did on our mine tour. And you realize how pitch black it is. It changes everything. Plus, you also, the falling ceiling traps. Well, in mines, they're not traps, but they are as they're holding the ceiling from collapsing. But you're going into an old tunnel system in D&D. Follow me on this, guys. So those old man-made or creature made support systems they're getting damaged over time, that can cause them to collapse. You so much ton of rock over you, and it takes on a whole nother life when you go to describe this stuff. It really does. So
Yep.
go on a mine tour. Trust me on this. You're going to come out with a whole different perspective on doing underground things with players, taking them through. Players go. You're going to find out how scary that environment really is. You do not want to be stuck down there. Um, Looks like we temporarily lost Richard again. I'm
That's
gonna have to
pulsating. It looks like he's trying to talk. I
He's
don't know what's
trying to-
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Technology at its finest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
we'll
needs a little
vamp for him
circle.
in the
Yeah,
meantime.
we'll cover him. Cover him.
I think what was I running? The Scarlet Minotaur, I think, is the first dungeon
Yeah.
Kelsey wrote for Shadow Dark. I was running that, and I had one guy. I'm not sure if a thought went through his head at all, but he asked, like, because they just disabled one of the big bull traps or whatever like that. And he's
Oh,
like,
those are great.
can we take this? I'm like, that's a 30-foot tall solid bronze bull. You're just gonna
Yeah.
pack that away, you know?
Sling
And then I
that
tried
over
to
your
Fit in
shoulder.
your back pocket.
I was like,
no
I
problem.
don't know. And that's how, I brought up, like, we'll see in some games you buy porters and torch bearers and stuff like that. And those dudes hang out, and you guys are the murder hobos. You know how to kill things. So you're going to be doing the killing while they do all the manual labor.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Yep.
how you have it set up. Because
You're
one of the most,
dungeon hunters.
one of the most terrifying games we played, I forget what the guy's name was. Hobbs. I was playing with Hobbs. He's got another podcast, but he was doing a West Marches game, and just because of a random roll, it was giant insects or whatever, but we weren't fighting them. It was a jungle, so it was during a monsoon, so there was a mudslide going from north to south, so we all had to roll saving throws to brace against trees and stuff, and I think we lost.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every torchbearer and porter we had got washed away, and we were like, that's all our torches and ropes and backpacks and everything is
Now
gone.
you're stuck. Yeah.
So we're stuck
Destitute.
halfway. Yeah, we're stuck halfway to this dungeon. We're like, oh no, what do we do?
Yeah.
So
And then when you go back to town or wherever you came from, where's our families?
hey, yeah. My brother
gets
and
hard
my
to hire
uncle
people
both
after
went.
a while.
Yeah, they went out with you guys. What happened? Well,
Yeah.
Well,
well,
we died.
remember that
Well,
monsoon
but
that
only
happened?
you survived. You killed them. You know?
Right. I think we might have lost a player too. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that it sucked. The saving throws and because I think we were playing BX, so it was like gone. They were just there was no saving them.
Oh yeah. Regular old BX. That'll get you.
All right, I think I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Yep.
Yeah, for some reason, these last 2 days or so, it's like it keeps on trying to disconnect my camera and shift it over to XSplit, which I don't even have open right now. So I don't know why it's doing that. But all I have to do is hit refresh and it'll bop me around the square here. But
Yeah.
I can hear you guys going through, fine. So it's just weird. It's
That's
just a weird
strange.
thing. I don't know what happened.
Was that the same thing that was happening when you were on DM James like 3 days ago?
Yes,
2 days ago?
exactly.
Okay.
And with DM James, what I ended up doing was I updated my Windows 11, and then it said, well, XSplit is no longer compatible with this. So I had to uninstall XSplit to finish uploading Windows 11. Then I was able to upload, put XSplit back on again. And I don't know. It's just something brand new, like the last 3 days or so. Yeah, it's exactly what happened with when I was on with DM James. So, and it was good through the first, hour or so, without a problem. And then all of a sudden, it's saying, "Well, check your connection. My connection hasn't budged. It's the same thing." So
I
don't know why it looks to do the camera on like defaults to XSplit. Maybe I got to fix that someplace.
I need to exit gracefully. The dogs are about to go off. A car has just arrived.
Oh,
soon as the door opens, it's going to be complete chaos.
All right.
So,
Well, thank you very much, RPG Grandma. It's always good to
thank you
see
for
you.
having
Good to
me
see you
on.
back on, online
I'll
and
be
everything.
watching.
All right. And yeah,
There we go.
you take care. All right. So let's see. So I'm here and can hear you all. Oh, good. Yeah. Oh, that was me talking. Yeah. I was like, I'm here. I could hear everybody. It did not, interfere with anything. Um, so let's see. I went on a tour of an underground mine once, and they got us to turn all of the lights off. It's impossible to do to see anything. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In a cavern, you can't see crap without lights.
Yeah.
That is like there's nothing darker than that.
I'd
It's
ask
like,
I'd ask them too to be like, hey, can we light a torch just to show people what
yeah,
torch
see
light
what
is
it looks
like?
like. That would be
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
not what you think it is. You don't get this 30
No.
30-foot sphere of light. No, sir.
Yeah.
I
No,
as a kid, I was hiking in up mountains behind where I live, grew up, and we found a cave. And so, we're all teenagers and don't,
Mm.
no fear. So I remember like we wanted to check it out, but we didn't have any. It was deep enough where you could walk in and there was like no light. And I remember making like a torch out of like a dead branch and toilet paper, and we weren't seeing shit. I was like, I think a flashlight went into my hiking kit after that day because I was like, oh, that didn't work very well. It was cool though. It was very cool.
So let's see. Let's
We,
see some of the other notes that I was going to bring up during this thing. So, well, the foundation of I forgot to mention this way earlier on. The foundation of old school is rulings over rules, and that's the other thing that I think. If you're not adhering to that philosophy, and it's not a game design philosophy, it's a table running philosophy. It's like I won't let the game rules get in the way of what we're currently doing right now. If that makes more sense to me to do than what the game
yeah,
rules say, we're going to do that.
so far.
You know what I'm saying? And then you just have to remember to be consistent with it. So anytime
Right.
you find that, hey, it doesn't work well, then you stop using that rule, you make a ruling, and then you stick to that.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, the biggest pitfall to making modifications is that you have to have a great memory for them. Because if you lose consistency, you're going to lose your players. They're not going to buy in anymore if they can't get consistency from you.
Yeah. I think it's
Yeah, I
little
mean, they
things
gotta
too.
know.
Like if you're not 100% sure on how something works, just kind of keep the momentum of the scene up. Because
Yeah.
as soon as people stop and start cracking open books, it's like, well, here we go. We're going to be doing this for
Yeah, no,
15 minutes.
Finished. It's like
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just make a decision and move on.
Yeah. And just
yeah,
be like,
And then
I'll
if you
look it
want
over
to,
after game,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. You want to dive into it later, by
Yeah.
all means.
yeah.
We
Because
do that. And sometimes we do crack a book. I'll crack a like I'm more apt to crack a book if because like my Thursday night group, we're always switching games like after 6 or 8 sessions.
Mm.
And if we're playing something we haven't played before, we'll stop and be like, because we don't know it at all.
Right,
It's
right.
like, oh, all right, let's take a
Yeah,
look at it. But like my CNC game, we will open book every once in a while, especially with the spells and stuff like that. But a lot of times, just like, yeah, just figure it out, and I'll
yeah.
just make somebody make a decision. We'll move on. Figure it out
Once in
later.
a while, I mix game systems in my head. It's like,
Oh hell
oh wait,
yeah,
no, that's not this
yeah.
kid. I make that mistake all the time. Actually, it's like,
I can remember when I was running 5e games, because I've been running since Redbox, so I something happened to one of my son's character, and he got held, and happens the next round. He's like, oh, I'm gonna make a saving throw. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I get to save every round, and I'm like, no, you don't. and we got into this like little bit of an argument, and I had to eat some crow because he was actually right, because he only knew 5e, and I had 3 editions of this game in my head, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, in the previous game editions, you were just stuck. Like you didn't get to make
Yeah.
extra saving throws, you know? So I was like, oh, I was wrong. Sorry. But yeah,
Hmm.
I'm always mixing. I mix stuff up all the time. Like I just like, is this on this game? It sounds familiar, but I don't know if it actually belongs to this game or not. But
Yeah. Yeah. Inconsistency and constant timeouts during a session will kill the campaigns. Yeah. Yeah. You'll kind of lose it. And, and sometimes like I find that like when you're running a rule system that is a broken rule system, and there's like no way to easily fix it, that's going to bring a campaign to an end as well. I found that out, and if Shadow's still here in the chat, although I think he has a game on it.
he's playing, I think.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
he's
he might be
his
playing
game.
at this point. But I ran into that problem with Amazing Adventures from Troll Lord Games. Was that
Yeah.
you know what? It's like if you're going to run or if you're gonna have a game system that's built on a multi-genre game system, it's got to be skill based. It can't be class based. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. And so there, you have to go with rulings over rules because the rules system doesn't work for that. I would totally break up that whole system and say, nope, nope, these are the list of skills that are in this game system, and you just pick, 3 or 4 different skills you're going to start off with, and then every third level you'll pick up a new skill that you can pull from anywhere to kind of build your character and forget about all the other the classes in that system. So
Right.
you have to so shatter the system in order for it to do what it's intended to do, that you might as well just play a different system at that point. And so that I've seen as a major problem, as far as like the rule set could be so inconsistent that it just doesn't work. So it's gets back to that point that was made earlier, that initially I was saying you can run old school way with any game system, and I've already modified that based on just looking at some of the systems that I've done that with, and it's like, no, actually that can't be done that way. You got to really break the system in order for it to work that way. So yeah, multi-genre has to be skill based. Absolutely, I think that's the key to it, to work.
I think too, like a friend of mine that owns a local game store here, very experienced guy. We were talking about games one day, and something he said, and it made a lot of sense to me. He's like, the system shouldn't get in the way of the
Yeah.
play, right? So it's like
Yeah.
if I have like say 5e, I know we pick on 5e, but say 5e, and I'm trying to run that like a Dragon Slayer game.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that I gotta put the axe to make that happen. So why not just run like Dragon Slayer or BX? Or
Yeah.
if I want to run like a straight up horror game, I'm not gonna do it with 5e. I'm gonna use Call of Cthulhu. I'm gonna use Vaesen or any other, of that style system. Um, because it's just gonna get in the way, like that
Yeah.
gymnastics of trying to make it fit, hammering that round peg into the square hole is just I don't know. It's not worth that time for me to try to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
There's so much stuff out there.
I've always said, yeah, the second best that they can do is just make a system that just gets the randomness that you need out of the way and just stays out of the way of whatever narrative or story you're trying to work with your players. Because, yeah, there's a lot of games where it's like, here's a big clunky system. We made it because we thought people liked big clunky math systems, and it's like
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
likes this at all. the
Yeah,
only
nobody
one
wants
that's
this.
the only one that's better is if you have the world and everything baked into the rules, and it's just that's like one of those 1 in a million diamond in a rough, hard to find kind of things. It's very hard to
Yeah.
see the ones that have like the setting is baked into the system because a lot of people like those usually don't take off because people want games they could stretch and run through a lot of things. And
Right.
it's like, no, we're playing Masks, and it's like you're playing teenage superheroes. That's all it works for, but it does it extremely well. It's very pinpoint. But
Right.
you have to want to play that. You have to play angsty
Yeah.
teen superheroes. Do you want to do that? No. Then you're not playing Masks.
I
So,
really like
Yeah.
this comment right here. Players should be interacting with the game world, not the game rules.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's great.
that's spot on.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
that's
100%
like, yeah,
spot on.
etch that in stone.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You know, and that's the players coming to the table with a real old school mentality. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just the game master that has to be like, oh, how am I going to, get this to feel old school? The players have to come to the table with the same purpose as well. They have to buy into what is old school, and then they have to buy into, hey, I know I'm going to have low hit points. I know that I have to make a backup character. I know that I have to do my resource management, and know what I'm going to, do before it's my turn to actually go. You know what I'm saying? It's like all of those things are elements that, many of us were doing when we were 11 or 12 years old. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think most of my generation, certainly we started playing in the late 70s when we were 11, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old or so. And it was like, for us, it was just something like you just kind of sat down at the table and you played it. I don't think that any of us really did a deep dive into the rules of the games where we're playing.
No.
We just played, and we played a lot. Yeah. We were playing, 5-6 days a week. We were playing, various game systems and everything, and it was, that's just the way that we learned how to, how to do the thing. Without, I don't think I ever read the rules from start to finish until probably 20 years in. I was like, oh, all right, I've finally finished the entire, reading this entire thing, from start to finish, which I had only pieced it together, throughout all of that time, because you only looked at the pages you needed a specific reference from.
Well, too, look at them. Like, I mean, I started off with really playing. I started before that, but like really playing with like Redbox, right? Like a lot of people are, and that's pretty easy, right? Like it's not. But turn around and get the AD&D Player's Handbook or DMG, and what 10-year-old is going to sit there and try to read through that. Like they're going to read the parts that are interesting, right? Like I'm going to read about the magic items. I'm going to read about this, and you just kind of chunk that book, to what you're interested in. It wasn't designed the way it was written, in my opinion, like especially for the age bracket that it was targeted towards. Um, they're not going to sit and read that. Like, it's just not going to happen. So now that's the nice thing about a lot of these OSR, BX clones or AD&D clones is they've cleaned a lot of that up. So they do make it so it's like, oh, this isn't going to be insurmountable or like super boring for me to try to work my way through reading this.
Right.
I think that's one of their strengths. I mean, if you look at like old school essentials, like super clean format, easy to digest. Dragon Slayer is the same way. Hyperborea I put in a different bracket because the system's baked into the setting, and the setting is super cool. So like reading about that stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, the setting is
I
really
love that.
cool. It's like, and like you said, it's they're so enmeshed together that it really does. Like I couldn't. Now I've only just started running it, but I couldn't imagine running that system in anything but a Robert E. Howard-esque, combined with those pulp authors of the time. I couldn't imagine running it in even Greyhawk. It wouldn't work in Greyhawk. I don't think you could
Some
run
people
Hyperborea
will do
as
that
well in
stuff.
Greyhawk.
Like, I know Roger ran Ravenloft and he used Hyperborea, the system. But it is pretty, I think you could do it, but obviously you got to make some leaps again. And do you want to make
Yeah, but
those leaps?
Ravenloft is barely Greyhawk anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it became its own thing for a reason.
Right, as it should have.
Yeah.
Excuse me. No,
So,
Hyperborea is great though.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
because as soon as he said cleaned up, I was like, that was the big selling point for Hyperborea, was pretty much AD&D, but it cleaned it up because
yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
AD&D was the first, and it looks it like it really
Yeah,
needed
yeah.
some revisions because
So,
I mean,
it's
it
an
had
ugly monster of a book.
it had like stuff in there to appease or appeal to like the war gamers, which was what
Right.
obviously
So a lot of them
role-playing
were,
games
yeah.
came out of. Yeah, so like all that numbers stuff, like this armor works, plus against this. I'm like, we never looked. I like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
using any of that. That's nonsense.
The armor adjustment chart. Nope.
Yeah, absolutely
No,
not.
yeah, I never used any of that stuff.
No.
It's like there were so many things in the DMG, the AD&D DMG, that was like you could tell they were optional. It's like you just knew, oh, this is that.
Well, I
this
mean-
is not something that you need to use or even should use. So it was just a lot of stuff in there that all that AD&D second edition did was it started clearly labeling things as optional.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the one
Yeah.
big difference between the two.
That's one of the things I liked about. We played a little bit of Old School Essentials, and that's one of the things that, other than the awesome format and stuff, that stood out was right in there. It's like, oh yeah, chunk anything that you don't like. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And here's some options for if you want to, like, typically a lot of games would do away with race class type stuff, and
Mhm.
they're like, well, if you do that, here's a rule to
Right.
make that work. And I was like, oh, well, that's awesome. I like that. So yeah, the older books, I mean, I still have them. I'll never get rid of them, but yeah, they're a little rough in spots. Yeah, I don't care if they hear it.
Sorry, guys,
You're
hear
all
that. It is what it is. I mean, it's the what they're saying is that this system can only be run a certain way, and
It's nonsense.
it's just nobody does it that way. They don't even maintain it that way,
Right.
because
The
they'll talk
Regex didn't
about
run it that way.
some of them will talk about porting other game systems into there. It's like, well, the DMG doesn't mention that. It's like you're taking stuff from other game systems and bringing it in. It's not what the DMG says explicitly that, well, you could take it from this system. No, it says you can throw out any rules you want, but at some point you're no longer playing AD&D anymore.
Right.
There are certain, what Gary specifically said was there are certain essentials, but very much in a Gygaxian way. He didn't say specifically which rule sets were essential. Kind of knew what he meant, and he kind of alluded to certain things as being essential, like the class race class limitations. That he was very specific about. He says, if you're going to break that, nobody will ever play a human. There's no point in playing a human. You'll be at a disadvantage. So that's why that was specifically done. Paul, you wanted to say something?
No. I hear all this, and yeah, definitely, because
Oh, Paul, you're breaking up. Yeah. Yeah, you're fluttering a little bit. Someone mentioned the moon phase or something like that is going on, so maybe that's an issue we're all having. Yeah, you might have to reboot. Yeah.
I think he's gonna have to.
Yeah. Let's see if we got you now.
There we go. I'm back on.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah.
I blame
That's
the
better.
Moon Men as well. It's
Yeah.
their fault for what's
All their
happening to me.
fault.
That's all their fault. No, but and we were when we started off the D&D game like 3 years ago, I think when we did it, we started with a funnel, and I was like, I'm making 4 humans, and all the D&D players looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, humans the best race, man.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Everybody's fighting over pluses and bonuses, and I think that's the problem. Just like if the creator of the game says, hey, if you get rid of this one balancing factor, nobody's going to play a human, I'll still play a human. I don't care about the pluses. I think the problem is people are, because what is it? You're chasing what, 5 to 10% on a D20, and the trade-off is you have to play a dirty elf. That's on you, man. But no, it's there's definitely certain pillars. I think there's a faction of people that want to do the rules as written, almost as if this is like professional sport or something like that. But it's not. It's a role-playing game where this is more sandbox play. That'd be like putting official rules on how you have to build things with Lego. It's like, it's not how it works. It's a little more free form. You take the system and then you kind of sand off the edges to where it fits for your table. Because usually you'll curate it to who you're playing with. There's a lot of rules they're going to skip in general. Like I think for the most part, the domain rules kind of fall by the wayside for a lot of people. I haven't met a whole lot of people who play D&D for a long time that say like, hey, we love the domain rules. We play it for the domain rules. It's like I've never these guys that I play with on Sundays have been playing D&D for like 45 years, and they've said they played with domain rules maybe in one campaign. So different rules for different tables. So
yeah, I got stuff like in my CNC game that like I've completely stolen like from Hyperborea and it just because I liked it better than the way the CNC did it, and players liked it. So like you said, you kind of curate to your table and make the game you want.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the helpful things where there's so many D&D clones. There's so much you can pull from. And you're like, I like how the rules in this work, but we're playing this. And then that's where you try to, all right, how can we mesh these? How can we put it together? Because this will work great for our table. So.
Yep, for sure.
I just gave out some free memberships here. So let's see, who do we get? So we have Knucklebones Production. Hey, Ultra TTRPG here. PC Caligon. They're hard to read sometimes. Let me do it this way. Maybe I can read them better this way. There we go. A little bit easier. And Ultra TTRPG. It's been a while since I've seen Hunter. And some new names. So that's cool too. All right. And let's see where Edgelord King. We use domain rules in 2E, especially Dark Sun. Yeah. And it's, I used, like, I didn't go full-fledged, like, domain play where they became kings or anything like that. But I did use, like, henchmen and that kind of thing. I did, have them establish a stronghold, not build one from scratch, but, basically take over something and bring it on, bring it up to speed, themselves, so it's I've never gotten into that level of domain play where they're, becoming the lord of a manor kind of thing. More closely to like an adventurer's guild kind of setup.
Yeah, we never really, a little bit of domain play, but it never really developed into actual play. Like they got a domain, but we never really dove into like management or anything like that. I wouldn't mind doing something like that because we've never done it, but no, we never have. Not in all the years I've played, 40.
Yeah, that's a different kind of like, it's a different kind of style of playing, when you get to that point. All right, Paul's coming back in. Okay.
I'm going to be in and out apparently.
Apparently, it looks like my thing is stabilized for a little bit, I guess. Knocking on wood.
I will take your pain.
Yes, it's like I guess we will share share the technical difficulties.
Right.
It's so weird. It's such a like just the last 2 days or so I've been having trouble.
Yeah.
Well, since Friday. Friday was the first time I noticed that happen. So, but anyway,
Yeah, it's not domain play, but if you want little extra options for stuff, if you're playing like a low, kind of like a BX or basic D&D type of stuff, these on downtime and domains, it's on drive through. It's not a bad little book. It gives you little options there. Like say if like Richard said earlier, if you find a mine, you can set up guys to go and mine it, and it'll show you here's what you can get out of it: iron, bronze, whatnot. And
yeah,
so their
my
domain.
players hoped their domain was happy hours. Yeah, yeah,
But it's got little downtime stuff you could do too. Like if you're a thief or assassin, it shows you, okay, you could do assassinations. Here's what, some rules if you want to set up fighting in an arena,
yeah.
just random
Oh,
stuff like that to kind of
That's cool. And
fill
what's
in
that called?
between. On downtime and domains. Domains is DEMESNES.
And domains.
Yeah. And I completely forgot about it. I was reading through it. I forgot who wrote it until I saw on Archon, Alexander Macris's channel. It's the same writer that does Sinless, which was like his love letter to Shadowrun. Because as everyone knows, everyone loves Shadowrun, but they hate the system. So he made Sinless, which is his own system. And he was saying like, oh yeah, I keep getting a trickle of money from downtime and domains. I was like, I got that book. It's a great book. You should be getting a trickle from it from drive through. But he did a bunch of those. There's a book for downtime and domain stuff. There's a book for setting up traps and dungeons, and I think there's a third book. I forget what it is. Maybe designing monsters. They're up there. I can see them. I just don't remember what they were.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. That sounds interesting because I want to encourage, especially with the Dragon Slayer campaign, because I'm anticipating that to be a long running campaign. I want them to get into domain play. I want them to, at least try to like fully develop the concept of having henchmen and hirelings and doing that, just to keep it, keep it into a point where it's a lot different. I'm certainly not going to run it. I'm still a little bit hesitant to do it like mega dungeons. I'm trying to figure out like, how do mega dungeons work in the way of, they go into something that's, 13 layers of a dungeon. It's like, well, where are you sleeping? How are you walking out 12 layers of a dungeon, to get back to a place where you're safe to stay. And if they are going to stay in a place, how many, how does that conceptually work?
We in our Dragon Slayer last summer, we talked about that because we're playing through Highfell, and we ended up doing a couple towers in there. But we got talking about it, and there was the last one we did in the dungeon part of it. There was this room that when you walked in, there was a fireplace there. When you walked in, it lit up automatically, and we checked it out, and there's no traps, nothing like that, and we could secure it. And one of the things we talked about doing was we did buy supplies and stash them there, but we talked about eventually like hirelings, like guards, like your job is to stay here and defend this place, and we'll go out and clear out the rest of this dungeon and then just move on to the next one.
Right.
We never got to that point because we completed the 2 towers that my son, who was running the game, had in mind for us to complete, and we moved on to something else. And when we go back to it, which I hope we do, because I really liked it, the characters and stuff were cool that we had, and I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know, because he's been kind of struggling with the same thing, like the mega dungeon thing.
So the one time my players in the AD&D campaign, the one time that they held up in this room, it was before they really, they made a big ruckus of getting to that point, and it was like, there's going to be a whole bunch of crap waiting for you, as soon as you open that door, and they ended up having to deal with 2 ogres, a whole bunch of orcs and everything like that, just waiting outside, for them to wake up in the morning
Yeah.
and come out of that room. And it was like, bang, it was like, all right, because they
We
knew they were there the whole time. And I'm like, this is, how does that work in a, a real, and the old school thing was to have them just waiting for them outside. Hey, good morning to you. And it's like,
Right,
now we're going
right.
to start bashing your heads in. And, it was, that's my problem with mega dungeons, is that, they're really not the safest place to stop overnight.
No, they're not. You need to, we probably we only used that room once, and I think later on what we would have ended up doing is you have to establish some sort of, you know, forward operating base
Yeah,
to launch out of, and with that campaign, like it can't be the town all the time because it's too far away sometimes.
right.
'Cause I felt
Well,
it was
yeah, you have
it's
to
a
have some place where
floating island,
that's where all your henchmen and hirelings or everything are waiting for you.
right?
And you might have some trail with you and say, hey, go back and tell them to bring the cart up. We'll be on our way out. And
Yeah,
then you're slowly making your way through, but then always at least retreating part of the way,
we're
to kind of set that whole thing up. But if you're just 5 adventurers pushing into a place, by the time you get to 3, 4 levels in, you have to start thinking that some of those levels that they passed through already are going to repopulate, at
yeah,
the
people
time that
move into
you're
them.
working your way back.
Yeah.
We're playing I don't know if you're familiar with it. There's a mega dungeon. It's a system neutral one called Ave Nox, and we're using Dragonbane for it. And that one is really neat because it's because mega dungeons, the problem is they can get boring, right? If you're just kicking
Yeah,
doors
Yeah.
one after another, it gets pretty old. And with Ave Nox, there's a lot of like factions that, well, I won't say a lot, but there are factions in there. And it's just like, it isn't just go down there and kill everything that's moving. Like there's people you can interact with, and like different levels. We just got to the 3rd level last night. And but there's different things, and it's just different stuff going on. And then just unraveling the mystery of the place itself
yeah,
Yeah.
is really good. Like, and it's a system neutral one, so you can plug it into anything. We're using Dragonbane, and
Yep.
yeah, yeah. With a
working
mega
really well.
dungeon, you should actually have um, like different factions within such a place.
Yeah,
Where you might be able to. Um, I know, like Vault of the Drow had like getting to it. There were other factions in there that you could actually interact with in a positive way. Not everything was trying to kill you. Just getting to the vaults of the Drow. So yeah, that's something that you could certainly have in a mega dungeon. Is that, hey, there'll be
like
some.
it's an old one. I've never run
Yeah,
this. I have it, but there's like tons of factions in it, like
yeah,
different. It's a Underdark. Deep
yeah,
delve thing starts on the surface, and then you make your way to the Underdark.
yeah.
But
That
there's
might
all
be.
sorts of factions to run into. Like if you and it actually does a good job. Like if you do certain things, like these guys will help you, but if you do other things, they're going to be like, nope,
Right.
we're not going to help you.
Yeah, that might be a way to work around that challenge of, just getting that, does it make sense kind of thing, is to have different factions within a mega dungeon that some of them you might be able to work with them to do something else that they have a motivation for doing. And so you end up assisting them and they assist you, and then you continue delving in. Um, I mean, because that's how I used to do, like the Caves of Chaos was like, the I had each of those groups. They were not necessarily, they were not working with each other. Like I always had it was like, yeah, why would the orcs care about the human cultists? That they either feared them or they hated them or they certainly weren't looking to cooperate with them. And so it's like, yeah, you could play one group against another group, and that was kind of the way that they got through a lot of it anyway. But yeah, again, that's another like an old school thing where you're thinking beyond you're thinking beyond just the base mechanics of let's kill everything in this place, and that's how we'll clear every room. You know, like you're a SWAT team going through every single room. It's, yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
clear the rooms. You know, it's like
Yeah.
no, that's not the way it works. You know, you know, you don't have the firepower to do that. You run out of spells. I mean, that's the fastest thing. They run out of spells. It's like, all right, we have no more healing left, and you know, we're 2 hours into the day, and you know, what are we going to do now? It's like you got to retreat. You know, that's it. You know, or come up with some way of pushing on without your spells or
Yeah.
whatnot. Find a friendly faction that you can work
Yep.
with.
Yeah, I try to stay away from mega dungeons just because, like, I understand it's dragons and magic and all that stuff. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, if you got 15 levels of just this torture, it's like, how? All right, is it a dungeon or are you just going into hell? Is this another realm? What is, you know? It's like, otherwise, if you call it a
Yeah.
dungeon, it kind of lessens it. That's why I kind of like it better if it's just like just a massive hex crawl through this blasted war, you know,
Yeah.
war field or whatever, instead of you know, just doing the door kickers, like, all right, breach and clear. All right, now nail off this door. We got to go to sleep. The cleric ran out of heals like 3 combats ago, and we're really hurting. Or whatever.
That's basically how I'm handling. Like what Archaeo Matt here said was, I never did a mega dungeon much, but I'd like to have 5 20-room dungeons within a 40-mile radius than one 100-room dungeon. And exactly, I mean, that's what I'm looking to do with, like, you know, they're in the Barrow Downs or whatever it's called in Dragon Slayer, and the Barrow Maze is there, but it's more so they're going to go into a series of smaller barrows, smaller crypts, and kind of piece together the same kind of, you know, overarching kind of nemesis that the Barrow Downs brings to what it's called. It's not called the Barrow Downs. It's the Barrowmoor. The Barrowmoor is going to be the Barrow Maze as it is. Like the entire space becomes the Barrow Maze, and there'll be, you know, a dozen or so smaller dungeons that they'll have to go into.
And I looked
Yeah,
up
I ran that one a little bit. It's neat.
Chthonic Musings brought it up a little earlier. They're not all OD&D. That's just On Downtime and Domains is OD&D. The other two, I had to look them up because he's like, weren't they all some kind of OD&D? And I was like, now I got to look, because otherwise I'm going to be sitting here the whole time just kind of, I don't know. Yeah. The other one is Bestial Ecosystems created by Monster Inhabitation. So it'll have charts for like monsters moving around, setting up, you know, nests or hives and stuff in your dungeon. And then the final one was Artifices, Deceptions, and Dilemmas. And that's like your trap book. So those were the 3.
Yeah, those sound really cool. Yeah, I'm certainly
it's
going
like
to look up the one and then see.
Definitely the Downtime and Domains is a cool book. That's the one I probably utilize the most out of the 3. But let's see. So your mega dungeon is right underneath the city.
Yeah, that'll work as well.
Yeah, I like that idea too, because there's a lot of that in history too, where it's just cities are built on top of the ruins of other cities. So it's like maybe there's something down there we can find.
So let's get back to, let's see some other things I wanted to. I was saying every adventure should have challenges, meaningful challenges. Yeah, that's, you know, that's every adventure is dynamic. Every environment is like dynamic and rarely, if ever, static. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, you know, static dungeon. I mean, you shouldn't have static dungeons ever. You know, everything should be in motion, constant motion. You know, one of the things that I did with my AD&D campaign when they were going through Quescaton, you know, so in search of the unknown, and they were going through that place, and I had a group of either goblins or kobolds. It's going back a couple of years, but they were pushing a wheelbarrow full of refuse and shit and all kinds of stuff, and they were bringing it to a pit that had a green slime down at the bottom of it. That was their garbage disposal.
Yep.
and their waste disposal, and they're bringing that barrel and they're dumping it down in there, and they of course they killed them and they left the barrel, but they were like, hey, this place is like a functioning place. We got to be a little bit more cautious about going in there. And then much later on, when the paladin got paralyzed, they were like, hey, remember that wheelbarrow with all the shit in it? We're going to put the paladin in there. And they started adventuring, rolling him around in this thing because the paladin radiates the protection from saving throws. They get additional saving throws against evil creatures. So they were like, oh, we're just gonna. First, they thought about cutting off his toe, and I was like, I'm not a freaking rabbit's foot. You're not cutting off my toe, because they were going to just run around with his toe. I was like, no, it has to be the paladin. But they were like, oh, that's just what they did. But they remembered the wheelbarrow and said, oh, that's how we'll lug them around. They were a brilliant group. They were like, they just thought outside of the box, because the paladin got teleported away and ended up getting paralyzed by the spider bites and everything. And he got paralyzed by them. And the way they found him was they did a detect good. And he was the goodest thing radiating in the place. They were like, oh, he's like, like that. There we had to break out the book and say, wow, how many square feet of wall can you go through and still detect? And it was like, you know what, that shit works. It's like, yeah, bing, there's lawful good someplace in this evil place. And that's how they found him. And it was just a way of, just making rulings and, backed by some of the rules and everything like that. But it was just because the dungeon wasn't a static place, those are the kinds of interactions that happened, and again, it goes back to, combat, exploration, and interaction, and a lot of times people will say, oh, it's just social interactions. That's the only kind of, no, it's in interacting with the environment. It's interacting with the world. It's interacting with the situations that they're in. All these things are part of those elements that the old school has been saying for 50 years, and that's how you make any system that you're doing, at least if you're sticking to those three pillars, have that old school feel to them.
Right. I think that goes back to what Ducato was saying earlier, just with the layout of the book. You look at just D&D and it's like, there's a lot of pages dedicated to combat. Wow, there's a lot of pages dedicated to spells. This is, and that's most of the game. It's like, if more of the book was dedicated to exploration, how things change, like how the bad guys work when you're not around. What are they up to? That kind of stuff for the DM. If just stuff like that, as opposed to just focusing on the narrow focus of combat or whatever. Because people say like, well, I guess there's role playing too, and it's like, well, what can we change with role play, stuff like that? It doesn't have to be hard mechanics, but it just at least talking about it so it gets into the players' heads, mixes up some thoughts.
With a mega dungeon, you could do it on a VTT. You just open it up because that's 90% of my running games, right? It's just on Discord, VTT. That's it. I don't do any. I don't know anybody that plays within my area, or at least I'm just not in a place where I can do that easily. So anyway, no, I just have them. I put the map on the Discord or on the VTT, and so you have the map, and it's as they're revealing areas. You remove it from the fog of war kind of thing. They all have hide the map, and then you reveal the map as they go, and it's very easy to do it.
Yeah, we had guys that when during a couple of our games went online during COVID, and then they stayed there. And those guys used original some of them would use actual like physical terrain and stuff. They just have a second camera on it. But then
Yeah.
they were running certain adventures and stuff, and then it got into like some pretty big areas that they were just like. And then we switched to Roll20,
Yeah.
and they had the maps right in there, and they could do the
Right.
maps when
Yeah.
Roll20 would cooperate.
Yeah, there was a short stint I was running Best Left Buried, which is, I don't know if it's an OSR type game. It's definitely kind of a rules light dungeon crawler type thing, but it had a hex crawl campaign, and I was just fed up with Roll20 and all these other things. So I just set up a camera overhead, and I used Settlers of Catan, the hex tiles, to build the hex map. And I was like, here we go. And as you explore it, I'd add new tiles to the map. And what was cool about their Calamity's Wake campaign was it had, I think, 4 or 5 factions built into it, and weekly they would do different things to expand in the hexes. So if you came across them, not all of them would be, I guess, belligerent. They might work with you and stuff, but each of them had different goals. So it was constantly changing as they were going and exploring. They could come across who knows what. And it was just cool the way they set it up in, kind of in the back of there, that the enemies are always up to something, regardless of what you guys are looking through. So,
Yeah. I mean, talking about using those things, I just learned yesterday that Greg Gillespie used the hex map from the wilderness, the outdoor wilderness thing for laying out where those places were. I was like, holy shit, he literally did. I was like, that's cool. And I just bought that box set not long ago, and I was like, I have that map now. I can lay that out and everything. And I saw where he put the High Fell and I could see where all 4 mega dungeons basically were, where they're having them. And even though it didn't have Darrow Deep on there, like on the one that someone posted up there, but I could see definitely when I looked at his map and then I looked at that map, I could see, oh, this is where Darrow Deep is. Dwaro. I always say Darrow Deep. I think it's Dwaro Deep. I can see where that is. It's kind of like in the northern section of it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I said, now that's old school. That was the first thing I said. That's really old school when you're using that hex map, as a reference for where you're putting your mega dungeons. You don't get more old school than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's his name? Basic Expert's doing that with his chainmail box set. What was it? White Box, I think he's called it. He crowdfunded it, kickstarted it.
Oh yeah.
So he's got a hex map that's very similar to Wilderness Survival in it.
Yeah.
So if you want one and you don't want to pay out the nose, there you go. That's one way of getting it.
Yeah.
No, I paid $20 for that.
Oh, there you go.
It's a complete box set. $20 for it.
Yeah.
That from what I understand, you can't buy it now. Like you can't buy anything now on eBay because from like November to January, everything jacks up in price on eBay, and then they drop back down again
for the holidays.
Come February, once they get past, because everyone's trying to make their big haul, in time for the new year, and then they'll cut their prices back down to something fairly regular. But
I think Shadow said that on one stream actually, because since he's like a crazy collector, he pretty much said
that was on Friday.
Yeah.
He brought that up on Friday. Before my thing glitched out on me.
Yeah.
So
he was like, wait till after Valentine's Day because they're trying to pay off all their vacations and whatever they took their wife out on.
Yeah. So that was a definite steal for me. Like I said, I might even paid less than that. Maybe I paid $15 for it, and it was like $17 with shipping and hand. It was less than $20.
If you could find the deals, because I forgot what it.
Yeah.
What is it? Squad Leader that had all those hex maps back in the day. It was a little chit-based World War II game. They were selling just the maps because I guess people took the chits for their bigger games over at Noble Knight for like a nickel or like a quarter a piece just for the hex boards. And I was like, I guess if you want to do like a really big Stalingrad map, you could drop $2 and you have like 15 of these maps or whatever.
I don't know if there was a reissue of Wilderness Survival. Well, was Wilderness Survival Avalon?
Avalon Hill, yes. Yeah, I believe it was.
So that means that WotC owns it. or Hasbro owns it. They'll never really re-release it.
Yeah. Well, they might issue it elsewhere because what's it? Renegade Games, I think now is reprinting and making new Axis and Allies games. So it could be licensed, but you just have to have
Yeah.
somebody interested in it and to pay WotC money for it.
Anything that will take away from 5e, they won't do.
Yeah, it could be.
You know what I'm saying? Like Axis and Allies does not have anything to do with D&D.
Yeah.
So they won't do anything that will take the shine away from 5e in any way. They'll see it as a competitor. They see their own products as competition for their own products. It makes no sense. It's like making money is making money. Who cares what thing it is? They just won't step on, 5.5e, at all.
Yeah.
Hey, Sword Stones, how's it going? Or Swords and Stones.
Yeah, there's some in the big, like in the cottage industry of people making maps and other stuff. Edgelord's got a point. Somebody's got a neoprene mat you could just roll out. You don't even need the board.
Yeah.
You've got that with the wilderness survival hexes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure that you could find. Yeah, anything. I know who else was saying it. Somebody else was saying it. Maybe it was RPG Pundit was talking about game company, or it was somebody else possibly was saying game companies should come back out with just making cloth maps and having cloth maps.
Yeah, I don't remember who said that. I heard
who said that. What it wasn't.
Yeah,
it was somebody just.
It wasn't Pundit because I don't typically listen to his videos. So
yeah. No, it wasn't Pundit, but it was somebody that mentioned that they should just release new.
You guys definitely talked about cloth maps on Roger's channel, but I don't think it was about this specifically though.
Yeah, no, I heard somebody say that, like, and it's either like, I don't know if it was like the Greyhawk Grognard or Eric Tenkar, because I listen to those guys, and
yeah, it was somebody recently within
somebody
the last
said it,
couple of days, and said they need to go back to just making cloth maps, and every game should come out with a cloth map. It's so much better. Maybe it was Greyhawk Grognard.
It might have been him.
It might have been him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I might have mentioned on Roger's channel though. I like them as like if you just have it unmarked and you just have the topography and you lay it out as like a table setting, because then you can point out, okay, you guys are here.
Yeah.
And then if they go, well, where are these towns? Then you can point them out. But if it has everything on it already, then it kind of I don't know. It kind of messes it up.
I like how it's not cloth, but like in Free League's Forbidden Lands, you have a map and it's got, the landscape on it. And there's like a couple little settlements here and there, but nothing's labeled. And then they give you a sheet of stickers because it's very much an exploration game and resource management game. So like, as you go out and there's no really set, like, oh, this is here in this hex. Like it's where you want to put it. And then when the players find it, they put a sticker on the map and they're like, oh, this is where this town is we found, or this tower or this cave or ruin or whatever. It's pretty neat.
It wasn't Basic Expert Stephonic.
No,
I don't watch his channel that much at all. Not for a while. So it certainly wasn't him.
Yeah, Forbidden Lands would be one that I want to play more of. I did like that aspect of it where it was like you have a blank map and then they gave you like a dozen dungeons and it's like you don't know where you're going to stumble upon them. You could just find it and you put it on the map and like that's where the dungeon is now.
It's really cool setting.
Where it was just there was that death mist that covered everything for like a couple decades, and then it finally receded enough to where people can go out and try to find out what happened.
You couldn't. It's interesting. It's kind of you couldn't be out overnight. You could go out during the day, but then you can only get so far, and then you got to be back at night because you're going to die if you don't. That has slowly receded in different areas. So now they're sending people out to find out what's out there.
Yeah.
Really
RPG
neat.
Pundit pimping his books? What do you mean?
What?
Never. Impossible.
Never. Let me see.
That's awesome.
Now I'm curious.
But I like the travel rules and how they worked in that game too. Just the way that it was like it broke down the you had like 4 phases, like 2 day, like a dawn, a dusk, and like 2 day or whatever, depending on the season. And then as you traveled, it's like, all right, where are we? We're along a river. Well, my guy has skill in fishing. I'm going to go catch some fish. And it's like, all right, well, while you're doing that,
Yep.
I'm going to chop some wood for firewood for the camp. And it just built in very simply, just instead of just being
Yep.
like, all right, everybody make a survival roll. It was everybody had a thing they did. It was cool.
Yeah, Dragonbane has some. I mean, one of the things I've heard Dragonbane referred to as Forbidden Lands Light, and it has travel rules in it too. Like you have to have certain things, and at night we need to make a camp. So like, oh, how's your bushcraft? Oh, well, it sucks. Well, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. You better have somebody that's good at it because it's not gonna go well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both really good, really really good systems.
Yeah.
I think Forbidden Lands. I've never played it. I have it all, but I've never played it. Like a lot of games, I guess. And
Yeah.
it goes a lot harder into it than Dragonbane does, but
Yeah.
Dragonbane still has that element of it, which is really good. And I've played I've played a lot of Dragonbane, and that has come up in every campaign I've played in. Every campaign, like, oh, how are we camping? Or we're traveling from point A to B. You have a certain amount of rations, and you can only carry so much stuff.
Right.
And 4 rations takes a slot, and so we're hunting on the way. You got guys that can hunt and
Yeah.
get. It's really
that's really
cool.
important. I mean, it's a you have to make travel a major aspect of the game. Once again, it's exploration. It's a pillar. It's a pillar for a reason. You shouldn't hand wave overland travel or travel by sea or whatever. It should be something that you're actually having them, spend the time. I've had whole sessions, be, traveling across, a distance of land and having several encounters along the way, both combat and interactive and whatnot. And that became the entire 3-hour session, was just getting from point A to point B. And point B was where they were going to go on their set adventure, place, but getting there took them an entire session. And they were a great experience because it led to kind of other branches of stories that they could follow if they chose to. And it was again, it's emphasizing an often overlooked part of that, so that's something that I would encourage people to do, is to keep those 3 pillars in mind every time you're thinking about your next session, or if you are writing an adventure, have those different elements that are in there so that the players get used to, oh, we're going to have a little bit of interaction, a little bit of combat, a little bit of travel. We're going to, do various things while we're in each of these, locations and whatnot. And just something very, very dynamic working along. I'm looking at
Into the Weird and Wild. Those are the same guys that do Ave Nox. They write great stuff. That's an excellent book. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
For
worth
sure.
having.
Yeah.
They have a city-based one too called the Cess and the Citadel, which is also a really good.
Yeah.
So
another one, like it's not really BX, but Errant is another RPG. It's another one of these that's like kind of high in procedural, because like the travel turns, it's very much like you can choose different things. You can explore, you can orient, which will help your next navigation check, forage, make camp, take watch, all that stuff. You have to choose an action that you're going to do to kind of help out the group as you're doing things. And thinking about it as we're talking about it, I think one of the cool things that I like about games these days, especially with Forbidden Lands and something like the One Ring, is that they've expanded rules just for overland travel. Because a lot of fantasy is just you guys as a group living off the land in the wild. So like, the rules for travel in the One Ring are awesome, because it's like the better of a navigator or whatever you have, the further hexes you can go before you always are going to have an encounter, but depending on your rolls, you're going to travel further without
Yeah.
incident, depending on like how well your lookout is or who's doing the navigating. Or I think there's a guy who handles your supplies too, which will affect your
Yeah.
hope. So it's just
Yeah,
the rules they have for that is just makes travel so much more fun now.
Yeah, Free League does a good job with that. Like we played, I haven't played the One Ring, but I have it. But we played Mutiny of Zero, and it was very much like that too. Like like
Yeah.
hex, like you had the hex, and supplies were super important because if you didn't have rations, man, you started to suffer
Yeah.
a lot. And they did a really good job with that. Another system. It's actually the old the 5e Crucible 7 Lord of the Rings game had a travel mechanic in there because obviously in Lord of the Rings travel is a big deal.
It's a big part.
A
Yeah.
big part of it.
Yeah.
It's a huge
A
part of
big
it.
part of the
And
story.
it was like they had the map broken down and it was color coded into like danger areas or what the danger level was. And that was kind of neat. And then it was certain things like you had to have like basically established safe spaces or spots where you could get like a legitimate full rest. Like,
Right.
if you're out in the wilds, you're never really going to get a legitimate full rest. Like you have to be like, in Bree or the Shire or, something like that. It was really kind of neat. They took it in a much, more defined direction than, like D&D does. It's kind of like glossed over. It's an afterthought.
That's how
Not even
the
a
One
thought.
Ring was. They colored the maps based on like the danger level of it. So it was
Yeah.
like
Oh
you
yeah,
get
I've
into
seen it
you
in
get
that
in,
too.
you get into the troll shaws and it's like, oh my god, how are we going to survive
Yeah.
this? And there's that
Good
one
luck.
the bright light of Rivendell is like the one spot in there, and you're like, oh Jesus,
Keep
all right. Hopefully we end in
pushing.
that hex and not outside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's really, I mean, I like that because I like that travel portion. And again, like Dragonbane does a good job with it too. It's not super complicated, but it's like you need to do certain things or have supplies, and you can only carry so much. So like hunting becomes important. Bushcraft is super important.
yeah,
All those skills, like they do a good job of that, like because they have the different professions, but with the right game master and the right players, any of those, like the first Dragonbane campaign I played in, one of our players, my friend, she played artisan, and dude, she was making like all sorts of crazy stuff, which was great because we were started off on a pirate ship, and because we were using the pirate borg setting, and we got shipwrecked after a battle, and like we were stuck on a sandbar and could see a big island in the distance, but had no way to get there until a crate of lumber washed up on shore, and she made a raft out of it. Like the rest of us dubs are running around trying to keep us alive, and she's building ships, and it
yeah,
was great. Like it made it really like her character really valuable.
yeah. And I think yeah, I like that more too. You're seeing that in a lot of games where you have classes like an artisan or a merchant or something like that that expands upon the exploration aspects of it,
Yeah,
the
like we had,
interacting with the environment.
I think we had a merchant. Do we have a merchant? Yeah, I think we did because I think the merchant's the one that has the ability that they can
Yes.
sniff treasure.
Mhm.
And my friend Kat used that. Like you come to a crossroads and you're like, which way's the most valuable treasure? And
Yeah,
spend the willpower points, and we go that way. Like perfect. Let's go. Yeah, that's hands down my favorite probably fantasy game. If I'm not playing
I
like a D&D style game,
I keep
I
yeah.
love
I was gonna say
Dragonbane.
you guys glazed Dragonbane real hard. I gotta check it out at
Yeah.
some point because I saw it. Me, I'm just so jaded on fantasy that I'm like another fantasy game. But everybody's like, I played this, but you know what does it better? Dragonbane. And every time it's like that's happened. I don't in the past 2 weeks like 7 times. They're like, oh, I've done this, but you know who does it better? Dragonbane. I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
all right,
Dragonbane.
I'll look at it.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I was one of my guys in my group, my best friends. We were talking about systems one day, and he was like, "Well, I want to do this. I want the system that does this," and I was just like, "Dragonbane, just
Dragonbane.
play Dragonbane." He's like, "Well, I could," and I'm like, "Just play Dragonbane, dude. Like
Yeah.
it already does it.
Yeah.
You know,
They
I don't
did
have to
the
make
heavy
up
lifting.
anything."
Might as well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did all the work, so it's like I can.
Yeah.
It's a strong contender actually for what I run after my CNC campaign concludes, like, because I probably will switch systems, and
No.
Dragon Bane's right up to the top because I just love that game.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. After a second long rest, there's
Yeah,
They're making Hobbit jokes.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so that's something I haven't looked at yet either, because I have the One Ring. So
I have the
I'll
core
go
book. I want to get the rest of them
Overland
just because
Travel
they're
and see, because
beautiful.
again, like Takato said, I have it, but I haven't run it or played it. It's
Yeah.
like, there's so many games that I have that I
There's
just
a lot
never
of that.
gotten around to, and that's
Yep.
why every year I'm like, all right, there's 3 new games I'm going to touch this year, and and then it's like, yeah, I do get around to doing at least 3 new games every year, but I have over 100 games, so it's like it's really it's like I don't think I'll ever get to all of them.
I was gonna say, and that's why you can stop buying. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I've gotten to, where I'm just like, I'm just gonna end up buried alive in all these if I keep kickstartering things. I'm
yeah,
just
you know what?
gonna sit back and
It's so hard. Like I
Yeah.
finally bought I finally bought OSE, advanced OSE, because it was like, all right, $50 for both books.
yeah, there you go.
I was like, you really can't go wrong. You know what I'm saying? Why not?
Well, and in general, you're getting a cleaned up version of BX, so there you go.
Oh
those,
yeah,
those
by
aren't
far.
bad,
Yeah.
And that's what,
So,
like, the one system people write adventures for. So sure,
and since it came with, it was, both hardcovers plus the PDFs and everything, because I had the PDFs forever anyway. But I was like, for $50, I might as well.
Yeah, it's okay.
But so many people run it or enjoy, play it or whatever. It's like I should have it.
But I think that's the big key is like, I just wait now, and it's like, because all these keep coming out. I've got, what was that, Outcast Silver Raiders OSR? Nobody plays that, but I kickstarted it because I was like, oh, this is, everybody's playing these. It's like, no, those guys are playing OSE or they're playing Shadow Dark. It's like,
right.
Sooner or later they're going to sift into their systems, and you're going to see whatever has legs and whatever is good and well designed is going to stand the test of time. And that's it. You don't have to, like, there's so many people that have this FOMO where they're like, I gotta buy it, and it's like, cool, you do that, and then I'll buy it half off when you regret it and sell it on eBay, because that's what's going to happen.
I get sucked into that so bad, and it's
Yeah.
like I need to put the brakes on and just be like, just support the games either that I'm playing or that I already have, like
Right.
And there's some stuff that, like Jeff Talanian's going to have a Kickstarter within
that I'm getting, because
year
that's a city setting.
for Pomarium.
Yeah.
I will back that without thought.
Yeah, I will back
Greg
that.
Gillespie's going to do a setting book for Dragon Slayer. Yeah, I'll back that because we use it and I like it. But man, there's so much other stuff. I'm like, oh my god, like it looks cool, like it looks awesome. I want to get it, and then I'm like, why did I get that?
Right.
Like, why did I?
But I think that that's the thing with hitting the brakes. It's like, I'm not saying stop buying altogether, because there are those guys who are like, anything this guy makes is gold, so I'd be stupid not to buy it. So it's like, anything for Hyperborea that Jeff makes is going to be really good. He play tests it with people at conventions. I've been there. Those are cool. The guys, what are they? Feral Indie Studios. Those are the guys that do Into the Weird and Wild, Ave Nox, and Sesson Citadel.
Those are great.
I go by their booth every time. I'm like, what do we got that's new? And they're like, nothing. I'm like, no worries, brother. I'll see you next year. Like I always.
I'll stop in next time.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever you do, let me know. I am here with money. But
they make good stuff.
Anybody that makes good stuff, I think, because we this is just pretty much reiterating everything that you guys said on Roger's thing with Kickstartering. But it's like, Kevin Crawford writes something. It's like, probably a good chance I'm going to get this, even though, like, I'm almost kind of vehemently against the D20 now. The guy just knows what he's doing as far as a system designer. So it's hard to not be like, it's pretty good though, even though it is D20.
Some guys you want to support.
Yeah,
and
that's
why I don't get every Free League Kickstarter, but like if Dragon Bane one comes out for free, that's without a doubt. I'm like, the last one they did the city book and the magic book. I didn't even have to think about it. I was like,
you're like, both, everything.
Everything. Take them.
Yeah,
and
I finally got my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles today.
I watched that earlier.
So pissed at though. I was like livid. I was like, it's a year late. It's like more than a year late.
That one reminded me because Chaosium did the Elf Quest. They brought back Elf Quest, and I wanted to back it. I just didn't have the money. And then I just went and looked at it, and it's like it was supposed to be here in like February, and it's still.
Still, yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm really glad I didn't back that.
this was supposed to
I'm
be
glad I didn't.
September of 2024. It was supposed to be here. I was like, all right, but the books are beautiful. Like if you watch it, the books are beautiful. You know, I don't think it came with PDFs though, or at least they're not. Like maybe that's coming later because I was just double checking and I was like, I don't have the PDFs for it. But I'm definitely going to start doing a comparison because I do have the old and now I'll compare it to the new and everything. But it looks cool. You know, and that game was a lot of fun. I remember playing that when I was a kid. So it was like, a teenager, you know.
Yep.
So it was like, you know, I definitely want that. And so glad I finally got it, you know. So that's pretty cool.
Those guys are good dudes. RPG Grandma, the Emperor Choice guys, George and Dave.
Yeah,
Good guys.
yeah. So convention wise, what's your next convention, Dakota?
OSRCon.
Oh,
Which
that's the same month that I'm at.
Yeah, it's in April. It's
That's in
actually right here.
April. Yeah, I'm already logged into ShireCon. So
Just a one day mass. It's
Rising
like 2
Phoenix.
hours from my house, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
go to that.
Rising Phoenix. I'll be at Rising Phoenix. Paul, any conventions?
I'm looking it up. EGG Con, I think, is in July. I haven't gone to one of those yet, but it seems like everybody's going. And I
Yeah.
know my Sunday GM is. He runs a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff over there. He runs AD&D.
Yeah.
So, but next it's going to be in March. I got this big jam. I think it's 2 weekends in a row. We've got Gary Con for one, and then I think it's Gary Con. I've got C2E2 in there. That's a little less gaming. That's more comic books and movies. And then I think it's the weekend after is Adepticon, which is up in Milwaukee. That's miniatures mostly.
Yeah.
I think primarily for the most part.
Yeah, my next is Rising Phoenix. That's in Massachusetts. That's in April, and then I have my two in June. So I have AutoCon, which is real close to me. That's like 5 minutes away. That's in my town. So, but that's tiny. That's like 50 people, and then ShireCon. No, I'm sorry. CNY.
CNY. Yeah,
Con, definitely going.
I'm doing CNY and ShireCon.
And then ShireCon in September, and that kind of rounds off my my 2026. So is that four conventions?
Yeah, generally I hit 4 or 5 a year, depending.
And then, you know, I might try to get back out to. I might try to get out to either Philadelphia again, the Page.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go to Page 4. You know, but I'm going to go just to play. You know,
sure.
And or I'll get out to WizardCon in Michigan.
Michigan. Okay.
Yeah. But that'll be the farthest I've ever gone for a convention.
Out to Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was eyeballing Chaosium Con. They're over there by Ypsilanti, which is like right by Detroit, over there, like on the eastern edge of the weird mitten of it. And I was like, it was like a 4-hour drive. It's not terrible. I mean, Gen Con's a 3.5, but it like as much as people poo-poo Gen Con, it's still the biggest trade show for tabletop hobbies on Earth. So I go because there's going to be people there that don't go anywhere else. So,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't want to go to a Skyrim board game at CNYCon. Yeah, I'm sure that they'll have some more board games there.
That's probably because we've been chatting up Skyrim pretty hard on Roger's stream we did last week, and then
somebody's gonna
this week we got Chubby Funster on, so Jason and I will be getting the old Shadow Rim insight.
There's another guy that's been cooking. That guy just
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
working.
super.
Yeah.
He's a working man.
Yeah.
That's a neat book too. I picked up a copy of Shadow Rim, and it actually I was surprised it came already, but it did. So
Yeah, no, that's I ran that for a couple of weeks, and then our Saturday game kind of collapsed. So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. Paul was in that. Paul was in that one.
I got into the other one because I actually
Oh,
just picked up Shadow Rim, and I was like, "Oh, these rules are interesting." And the head group had like just collapsed because you were at
yeah,
like 2 players. I was like,
yeah.
but
So it's like, oh,
it happens. We'll pick it
so
up again sometime. Hopefully, people show
yeah,
up
yeah.
for it.
Sometime I'll see
Call of
what I can
Cthulhu was
do with
awesome.
the.
RPG
I'll see what I
Grandma.
can do with that
Awesome game.
that Saturday game. Or it's hard. It's hard for some reason. Like Saturday games are hard.
Yeah,
Thursday morning games are hard.
yeah,
It's hard to get people for like those things. Like my most consistent game has always been Tuesday night. I mean, we'll see how Thursday night works,
right.
but
Hopefully, it
Tuesday night has
seems like
always
we got
been
2 more people kind of like in the hot seat that might jump in for Hyperborea. So
yeah. Yeah,
So-
if we could get it up to 5 and that remains consistent,
Yeah.
we're golden.
but I think
Is everybody? No, go ahead, Paul.
what was it? I think James mentioned it because he ran Hyperborea for his family, his home group. But it came up when we were playing because I was playing a paladin. And I thought I just had lay on hands, and you were like, "Hey, put your abilities on the sheet." And I was like, "Oh yeah," because when I looked through it, I forgot in Hyperborea when you start off at level 1, you're very competent characters. Like I had
Yeah.
4 or 5 abilities. I was like, "Oh wow, yeah." It wasn't just
Yeah.
I had the 3 attacks every 2 rounds with the weapon specialization, but it's like the 60-foot detect evil at will.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the immunity to fear at first level. You're like, oh wow, yeah, there's a lot of stuff actually you start off
Yeah.
with. You're pretty solid, which
Yeah,
is good.
The classes are awesome in that. Like
Yeah.
I taught when we was at ShireCon this year. I played in Jeff's game again, and then got to chat with him a bit. And
Yep.
like I was talking to him like the Berserker in that game
Mm.
is
Yeah,
awesome. Like
it's
I
really
would
cool.
love to. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
And we got talked into like the design, and like a lot of other games just kind of lump the barbarian into that, and it's not the same thing at all. And
Not even, yeah.
he's just a lot of thought goes into his stuff, like a
Yeah.
lot of his thought. It's
Yeah,
really,
he's
and
a
it
great
shows,
guy.
right?
Yeah, I'm
And he's
hoping
super
like
nice guy too. Super
unfortunately he
nice
can't
guy.
get to CNY Con because his daughter, I think he's bringing her to college that same weekend.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Roger tried
but
pretty hard to get him to come, but he's
yeah,
really busy that month, unfortunately.
yeah. But he'll be
Yeah,
at
And,
ShireCon again, I'm sure. So
he's going to be at OSR Con, which will be
Yeah.
cool, and then the ShireCon, I'm sure.
yeah.
And it has Hyperborea has a good following at ShireCon. Like there's
Oh, yeah.
usually 3 or 4 Hyperborea games going on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it does well there. So I'm gonna run
One of
it.
the guys I played with and this year, I asked him, and he's like, "Yeah, I play it every week." Because I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, do you guys get a chance to play this much?" And he's like, "Every week." And I was like, "Bastard."
Yeah. Yeah. Although I might actually run fewer at ShireCon because there's so many people that run games there that I just want to play.
Yeah,
So I might look at ShireCon and just say, you know what, I'm just going as a player. That way I don't have to worry about, and just log in,
yeah. If you just
log in.
ran one a day, that would be less than because you usually run a couple a day. Like,
Yeah. I
Mhm.
usually run, I'll run 3 over the course of the
yeah,
2 days.
that's too much.
And
I can't even play 3. Like,
and then I only get to
I may-
play at 2,
Right.
so it's,
Yeah.
I may play one a day. I'm not sure. Like, I kind of liked this year.
I like having like time just to walk around and chat too.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I got to hang out with
that's
some
another new
guys that
thing
I
of
only
mine.
see on
is
YouTube,
to
which was cool.
Play one in the morning, have nothing in the middle of the day, and then one at
Yeah.
nighttime, and that's it. And just play, do 4 games a day. I mean, 2 games a day, and leave that open.
That's some max for me. Like
Yeah,
I've done 3, and I'm just like, no, I'm spent mentally.
Yeah.
I'm just
especially
like,
at the smaller conventions, like these guys if you're seeing them year
Yeah.
to year. So it's like I don't want to sit here in game. I just want to chat. How are things going? What are you up to?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
it's nice to.
yeah,
it's-
it was fun this year. Well, both years was fun. I've only been twice, but like this year, like I had like Joe the lawyer. I follow his channel, interact with him, and And I told him I was going. He's like, "Well, hit me up." So I did when I saw him, and then like on day 2, we were like, "Hey, let's get some lunch." So we were hanging out, getting lunch, and then Eric Tenkar came over, and we just hung out. And I'm like, "This is actually more of like what."
Fun.
I mean, I'm not hurting. Like I'm
Yeah.
not hurting for games, right? Like I
Yeah.
Yeah.
play a lot at home and stuff, so it's like I don't have to. It's that whole atmosphere though that I
Right,
like,
right,
and
right. Yeah.
just interaction with folks
Yeah.
and shit like we do now. You know, it's like
Hmm.
that. I really enjoy that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Sharing in the
Hyperborea is
hobby.
awesome. If he doesn't have Hyperborea RPG Grammar, that's what you buy him. Hyperborea.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't have it, you need to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
It's
have
a great,
4
great
copies
system.
of it because it's
Yeah.
just awesome.
Yeah.
And I just learned about Cthulhu Eternal. I don't know what that is, but looks
I've
like
never heard of it.
Zarian's bringing it. Yeah, it's Cthulhu based off the new Delta Green Misery engine, and it's pay what you want. So
Oh, cool.
Oh,
there you go.
Delta Green's fun. I've played that a little bit.
Yep.
That's a fun game.
Yeah, those guys. It's like I mentioned because they're the last couple Kickstarters. It's pretty much like as they hit stretch goals, they just add another book onto the thing, so it just kind of expands their library further out.
Tuesday player Coco. Yep. You can jump in.
Yeah.
My Tuesday night games, I've had as many as 10 players. So not that I'm looking forward to doing anything like that, but yeah, Tuesday, that's going to be Dragon Slayer. You're welcome to join in. The group currently needs a cleric and a magic user or a paladin, any one of those, or ranger, but definitely a cleric. We need at least one cleric. The party needs at least that.
Yeah, if you're playing Dragon Slayer, you need at least one cleric. Like
Yeah, you need at least one cleric.
any OSR game, really. But
Yeah,
in our time
but
with,
yeah,
we
at
struggled with
least
that.
one cleric, and because the other ones get some healing here and there, like the monk has some healing at 3rd level, and everybody gains like a little bit of, well, not everybody, but the paladin has lay on hands, but they get some healing by 3rd layer, and they get some turning ability at
Problem is you got to get there.
3rd round. Yeah, getting there.
So
It takes some time.
getting there is tough, especially with a paladin, because a paladin is such a XP hog that.
Yeah, but I've been looking at, I've been looking at ways that they can through both scene experience and
Sure.
combat experience, and then exploration experience and that kind of thing in place of session. And they're no longer going to get experience just for showing up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, you got to actually do things in order to get experience. But I've never had problem with players showing up and not doing anything. But I'm just saying, it's like, no, I want to see more momentum going on and more stuff going on. So every time you enter a room, I want to know what your character is doing while they're in that room. I want to know, are you investigating something? Are you searching for something? Are you disarming something? Are you all of the things. I want to know everything that they're doing. I want them to be very, very active every time they go into a space. That way I can justify, hey,
Sure,
you all earned 15 experience points for what you did in this room right now. I think in the end, after like just projecting it, they could earn probably like between 300 and 400 experience points per session. And so it might take them 5 or 6 or 7 sessions to start hitting that 2nd level,
Right.
and then it'll probably take about 20 sessions to get the 3rd or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's how I'm kind of playing it out, where it's going to be kind of a slow-paced adventuring, and because they get a lot of advantages once they start getting to like 3rd level. 3rd level is like I said, that's when monks and paladins get turning ability. They can turn undead at that level. It could take them a year to get to 6th level, or maybe even longer than a year to get like the 6th level, when they start getting henchmen and that kind of stuff too. So yeah, I'm looking for it to be a long campaign.
Nice.
So yeah, Coco, if you want to jump in, you're on my Discord, so you can jump in there and just let me know. If you're not on my Discord, you should be. Yeah. So if any of you are not at my Discord, you need to join. That way you can get in on some of the gaming. So I usually play a ranger, but cleric, interesting. Yeah, and the cleric is going to be there's only one lawful good deity, at least from the sources. There might be some other ones too, but that's the big one there. That's Saint Iggs.
Saying,
So,
yeah.
yeah. And I did one rules modification where I was like, you can use. I gave each of the deities like a weapon of choice. Like if you're a priest of Crom, I mean, how are you not using a broadsword? You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like, or
Yeah.
or
That needs to happen.
using some kind of a bladed weapon. It's like, as a broadsword or battle axe, either one you can, if you're worshiping Crom, that's what you can do. Or, Odin is a spear, right? Very famous, famously with a spear. So yeah, some of those deities, I'm like, I always like that, the deity's preferred weapon kind of rule in there. And so I kind of did that. So anyway, yeah, you're certainly welcome to join. It's called Actual Death Experience. My mistake. All right. I missed something. I don't have a Discord account. Well, you can join Discord for free, and I will put my Discord. Let me pull up my Discord invite, and you guys can join. Let me find it and open this up, and I'll create a Discord and invite. There we go. And this takes too long sometimes to find. Okay, here we go. And invite to server, and then I'll just do that. All right. So here is my Discord. You're all welcome to join, and just let me know that you were on this one, Coco, and anybody else. And I'll give you a player tag, a player role, and that will open up all of the rooms, or virtually all of the rooms up to you. So there's the Discord. Just click and join. And there's about 200 plus like-minded people on that Discord. Completely game focused. So we don't get into anything else but gaming there. And not just gaming chat, but actual gameplay goes on there. We don't even talk about gaming news or anything like that there. It's all associated with gaming, actual play.
Yeah, I think the closest thing to off topic is other YouTubers posting their shows. That's like it. So it's
that
stays within.
Yeah, that I don't mind. Yeah. So it's just other YouTubers put their stuff on there, and they're welcome to do so. But yeah, that's a place. And like I said, it's a little over 200. They don't even make it easy to tell how many people are on there. It's like Discord has some wonkiness to it. Let's see. Yeah, it's like it doesn't even make it obvious how many people are on there. But I know it's over 200.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. Is it splits it into the different member types. So you're like, okay, there's administrator, player, shadow, darkling, etc. You're like,
no, there's
could they just
place where you can see the overall number of members, but it's not even on the members tab. Like if I click members, it doesn't even say it there. It's like, I could tell how many. Oh, there it is. 233 members.
There you go.
And like I said, we all focus on just gaming, like playing. So anyway, guys, it's been great. I'm going to wrap this one up. We went almost 2 hours and 50 minutes, that's kind of long. For me, that's pretty long. And I have to get up super early tomorrow morning because it's my daughter's first day of substituting. So she
Oh,
got her first position because obviously going to school to become a teacher. And then they were like, hey, once you get past this little hurdle and this little interview process, then you can actually start subbing.
it's cool.
So
Following in Dad's footsteps.
yeah. So so hopefully she has a good run at it and she does well with it. But she's doing like earth science. I was like, what makes you think of earth science? I was like, wow. It's like, but hey, and she wants high school and everything. Tomorrow she's going to be in her middle school, like her former middle school. And then she's going to be on Wednesday, she's working and she's going to be in her high school. And then on Friday, she's going to be in my wife's school, which is going to be awesome. So it's
That's
like,
cool.
oh, yeah. So she'll be in my wife's school on Friday. So they're both excited about that.
I bet.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, guys and gals and others that are in the chat and everything, as always, thanks for joining in, and you'll have a great one. I will see Paul. I'm going to see you on Thursday morning.
Thursday, yeah,
Thursday night.
Thursday.
So Thursday will be a big day. Wait, let me double check and see. That's going to be the 11th. Yeah, I don't have anything going on this week. It's next weekend, like Thursday the 18th. I shouldn't have a problem there.
Yeah, I think it was just the week after that because I don't think anybody was.
Yeah. Christmas. I don't think we'll be playing anything on Christmas Day.
No, probably not.
You guys want to play gangsters on Christmas?
Although I'll probably Christmas morning, no, because I'm not even going to be home.
Yeah.
But that Thursday night, I might potentially be able to do that
Hyperborea?
if you guys are open to it. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see.
Yeah, because by then, Thursday night, it's like the holiday's over.
Yeah, it's long done.
Yeah, but
right.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Certainly.
Sounds good.
Yeah, but certainly gangbusters, nothing going on Thursday morning. I'll be lucky to be home.
Right.
All right, you guys have a great one. Everyone, thanks for joining in, and I'll see you next Sunday.